It's time for Sportstime on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. The first hour of Sportstime is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome in to Sportstime. Bryant and Brett with you on a Wednesday. We're here with you for the next 3 hours in our family leisure studios. A lot to get to as we're at the midway mark of the week, hump day as some people call it. Football back tonight. Our only off night was last night. We got 2 college football games, another afternoon and evening of postseason baseball. First game going on right now between the Rangers and the Rays. So a fun afternoon of sports. Like I said, Bryant and Brett with you in our family leisure studios. Brett, how you doing this afternoon?
I'm doing great, Brian. You're right. Back to college football tonight. Tell me, do I get CBS Sports Network on DirecTV?
Yeah, you definitely get CBS Sports, for sure.
Don't know that I've ever watched it 1 second.
Oh, I'm sure you have at some point. A lot of Tiger basketball games come on CBS Sports Network in the past,
right?
So I'm sure you've wandered over there at some point, just maybe didn't know that you were on CBS Sports Network.
Would that be in the 220s on the direct
Brett,
machine?
I've never been a DirecTV
gotcha.
customer, so you're speaking a foreign language to me at
You
that
hadn't missed
point.
anything.
Yeah. Well, I shouldn't say that. I'm a DirecTV customer. I have their streaming option, so all of mine is just streaming online, so I don't have all the channels and stuff. So foreign language to me, I'm afraid.
So, as you know, the last 2 weeks I have battled AT&T over my Wi-Fi, as you know, and it's been quite the battle. And the service people, the repair people that come by, they are so good. They're so well trained, but they're still having an issue with me, and they're about to the point of you may have to find somebody else. I mean, it's just to that point, and I've about had enough. And I told one in a nice, courteous manner. I said, well, I have my cell phone with y'all, I have my home Wi-Fi with y'all, and I have DirecTV with y'all. All told, but like everybody else out there, that's about $400 a month.
Oh yeah.
And he said, oh, well, we're not really DirecTV anymore. I said, you're not? He said, no, we sold it. I said, well, I still mail my check to AT&T, so I consider that you are.
Yeah.
He said, well, it's really third party, and they just don't advertise it. No, I mean, I consider I'm doing business with the person I mail the check to.
Good Lord. I mean, between that and all of the you don't get CBS, you don't get Fox, you don't get this channel. I mean, working with television companies and all of this stuff, it's a mess from top to bottom.
It's never been harder to figure out TV, and I can't be alone. Now, I figure it out, and it's not that big a deal, but man, get to a hotel and just get the remote control in your hand.
Yeah.
I mean, what does it do? And boy, you hit the wrong button and you're really over there on some wild stuff.
Yeah.
But, I mean, just getting it on can be an issue.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, and I mean, like my girlfriend, her family went on a vacation a couple weeks ago and got to the place they were staying at. Couldn't even figure out how to pull up ESPN on the television. It was so all the different apps and stuff you have to go to. And so they were calling me like, "How do we get ESPN on?" I was like, "I don't know. I don't know what the TV is. I don't know what is it DirecTV, Comcast? You're in Florida at that point, so it could be Spectrum. Like I don't know. You've given me no information." She was like, "Well, we don't know anything." So we're just kind of stuck here in the middle of the road.
Just for my home Wi-Fi, I'm going to say I think it's exactly $76 a month. Mm-hmm. Well, that's about what my average light bill runs over the year. Of course, summer months running the air conditioner more heavily, it runs more. But like today, nothing's on, and I don't know when I turn the air conditioner on again, just because I don't need it. I'm very comfortable, and try to not send all the money to Entergy.
Right.
So and I told one of the nice repair people, and I said it in a nice manner. I said, I know all this is complicated and the fiber optics and blah blah blah. I know all that. But for that kind of money, I want it as reliable as turning that light switch on.
Yeah.
I think I'm paying enough for that.
I think you are too, and you should. I think you should be getting that at least. And so I can only imagine how frustrating it is to have to continue going back and forth with them.
And you got to love it. They want to blame you know, they don't want to. It's never their fault. AT&T, you know, it's and you know, and then with the laptop, you know, Best Buy, they want to blame AT&T, and you know, and everybody wants to blame the other one, and all I want to do is for it to work.
You don't care how it gets done. You just want it to work and work.
I'll pay double. Don't tell them, but I'll pay double if you'll get as reliable as turning on that light switch or turning on that water faucet. I'll pay double.
I mean, hey, you don't say that too loud.
Don't tell them,
or they might take you up on that offer. But
especially on a day of a proposed MLG and W rate increase.
Yeah, geez. Well, I mean, a lot going on for you,
really
especially.
Is.
I mean, good Lord. But I did mention we do have the Major League Baseball postseason going on right now.
Rays, look at there. Cardinal hit a home run.
Yeah, Cardinal hit a home run. Cardinals everywhere in this postseason. You mentioned it yesterday. They're all over the place. But
Garcia pitch, Hicks pitch, Montgomery pitch, Garcia for the Rangers, Rosarina. At some point, I'm going to look up. I think Tony La Russa is going to be managing against Whitey Herzog.
I mean, hey, I mean, at this point, who knows what might throw out, what you might throw out there.
I do know this. I know who won't be in the dugouts. Mike Matheny, Mike Schilt, and Ollie Marmol.
Oh, there it is. I was waiting to hear when Ollie Marmol was entered into that equation. No, you will not be seeing him in any of these dugouts. But right now, Texas doing what they did yesterday. Another lead early. I think 4-0. They just the Rays just got out of it. So another big start for the Rangers, and this one has not come from errors like yesterday's big lead came from. And for the Rays, playing in front of absolutely nobody, that this big season they've had might end rather quickly in the postseason.
99 games for nothing. The very real potential at 4:00 Central Time Zone in these United States on October 4th. 99 games gets you an exit.
It's crazy.
That's rough stuff, isn't it?
It really is. And I mean, like I said, we've seen the numbers that have been kind of floating around after yesterday's game. Only about 19,000, a little over 19,000 at the Rays game yesterday against the Rangers, and it looks like a little more there maybe today, but not by much. And that's just, I mean, that's embarrassing to be in the postseason and being one of the most talked about teams in baseball this year because of that start they had, because of kind of this stretch from last year and into this season, and then only have 19,000 show up. And I know, look, I've heard all about the bridge, but you think you'd be able to draw more, even though it's a mid-afternoon game.
I mean, Patton's forces crossed the Remagen Bridge in World War II easier than they get across this thing. I mean, my goodness. And I don't want to pile on too hard. I love our friend T.J. Reeves down there, and he's a loyal, good fan, and they just need more of them. In the ballpark location, the lowest postseason gate attendance since 1919.
That's crazy. 1919.
Yep.
Holy
and you know
God.
where I was in 1919, Brian?
I hope you weren't here.
No, I was not. My grandmother, my grandmothers were both 10 years old in 1919.
That's incredible.
Just unbelievable. That was the World Series in the zany best 7 of 9 that the White Sox threw for Cincinnati to win.
Wow, what a year! So lowest attendance and a thrown World Series. How about that? And back to 23. 1 down. Can we get 2 down this year? To send
you want a thrown series?
Throwback to 1919.
Somebody on the take? Boy, a man named Fred would really love that, wouldn't he?
Oh, man.
Somebody throwing the World Series. We're not insinuating anything, but we know it happened with Shoeless Joe. Shoeless Joe hit 375 in the series that he threw.
Sure did. Yeah, not much of a throwing for him at least.
But I mean, just imagine if he wasn't on the take, what he would hit in that series. And since they threw that series, that whole city, White Sox, North Side and South Side, they've only won it twice. So you could say they've got one. They've only won one more than they've thrown.
Wow. Wow, that's
how bad is that?
I mean, that's bad. That's really bad. Wow, I mean that's not good. I literally have no words for that because that's. But you could have saved that for big words. Number. Yeah,
no, it's Saturday night. I did it. I said in an almost indescribably happy locker room. No. You're paid to describe something.
You better start describing.
You got to come up with something.
Find a way, do something. That's funny.
I love when I heard Paul Azinger does it a bunch. One of his favorite, and we all get our kind of defaults, something.
Right.
And I heard Paul Azinger, and I've heard him a couple times. Heard him during the U.S. Open do it. I've got no words. No, Paul. You're paid to have words. You got to come up with something.
Paul, what are we paying you for? I mean, you got to say something.
I mean, we can get any rando out of the gallery with no words.
That's great. Oh man. No, but yeah, that is crazy. But hey, shout out to 1919 and all
1919.
all the
What
things.
was the price of gas in 1919? Did we have cars?
Brett,
I don't know that we did. I don't know.
I liked history class, but I wasn't that good of a history student, so I can't tell you. I can't tell you, but
this day in 1919.
That's right. This day in history. That's so we got first game right now. Rangers-Rays. Like I said, Rangers up 4-0 right now. Another big lead. They won that game yesterday. 4-0, so continuing to pile on like they did in that game yesterday afternoon. Here in about 20 minutes or so, we'll have Blue Jays Twins. Twins got that win last evening, a 3-1 victory over the Blue Jays, and then the two night games, which I thought maybe because I had more attention on those games. We were done. Obviously, I was at home watching these games.
And we're National League homers.
Of course. But I thought these two games from last night, D-backs, Brewers, and then Marlins and Phillies, were the best two games of the day. I mean, both of those games were really, really fun to watch, especially watching the D-backs go down 3-0 early and then just claw their way back. Very quickly to get that 6-3 win. So I really loved day one of the postseason, and I'm hoping day two can live up to that hype.
And Brian, in that game, we saw Arizona do it, and we know how important late innings to tack a little something on. And it took the air out of the crowd in Milwaukee. Huge crowd, great crowd in Milwaukee. And I said it during the course of the year, an ugly postseason exit. How would that impact Craig Counsell, the Doogie Howser of baseball? And if it was good morning, good afternoon, good night, and they're out 2-0, you could see in the name of let's shake it up.
I think you could, and I think there's a couple of teams in here that you can maybe see that, and I certainly think Milwaukee's one of them, because at the end of the day, I mean, Milwaukee.
Dodgers?
Maybe.
Are we bearing the lead? Dodgers?
Maybe.
Or does that janky COVID bubble title give Dave Roberts enough cover?
Hey, I mean, as janky as it might be, it's still a title. I mean, it's still a trophy.
But
in that
it
trophy
was janky.
Case. It was pretty. What, 60 games that year? I mean, good Lord,
was really shaky.
Yeah, that was. No, it was janky. But I mean, that they could be in there. But I mean, when you look at like Milwaukee and Minnesota, let's be honest. I mean, one of the biggest reasons they're in the postseason and made the playoffs is because of those divisions they play in. And so I think that's a good point of when you get to the postseason and you're facing the top competition, and if you're quickly knocked out 2-0, especially when you're playing on your home turf, I think a lot of questions start getting asked in those front offices.
Historically, Minnesota has shown a lot of patience with field manager Tom Kelly there for a long time. Ron Gardenhire had a lot of patience. Milwaukee the same with their field manager. And it's that fine line. It's a little bit like the Kentucky, Ole Miss, Arkansas, South Carolina world of college football. You look at Kentucky and how have they done it? Well, they got with a really good man and really good coach, and they stuck with him through some leaner times and some really good times. They're not always chasing, the next hot thing. So I say Craig Counsell could get in trouble. What if Milwaukee just understands, we're going to draw about 33,000 a night. We're going to be in that mix with Cardinals, Cubs more times than not for the National League Central. And if we get to the postseason, we cash it in fine. But otherwise, we're winning. Why rock the boat?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be one of those two, and I wouldn't be surprised if that.
We're in Milwaukee.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's probably the more likely scenario, just because, like you said, you're in Milwaukee. I think you can keep the fans happy at this point, maybe in another year, another 2 years, if this continues to be the case where you get into the playoffs and then just immediately get slammed down once you get there, I think that's when some of the fans start, asking questions and kind of complaining a little bit. But I don't know how many fans in Milwaukee are really complaining about making the postseason at this point.
And one thing that kind of salves it a little bit for the Brewers is you've got Giannis in the Bucks.
Yeah.
And they have to do everything they can to keep him, but he cashed it in with the first title since Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And they got the Packers. And they got Wisconsin football. They got Marquette basketball. So, okay, we can't, okay.
Yeah, I mean, perfect time, I guess, for them to get knocked out. You get knocked out today or tomorrow if that does happen, and you're turning around, and first preseason game for the Bucks is this weekend, And like you said,
that's right.
The Green Bay is going to play this weekend. Wisconsin's going to play this weekend. So I think a lot to turn to, absolutely. But when you look at these 4 games after last night, how many of these out of these 4 do you think we get tomorrow?
Brian, I really thought going into today we would go 4 for 4. We would get 4 game 3s, and so far it's not looking very good in the very first one. So much for that.
I thought this one was certainly going to go to a third game after what we saw yesterday.
I didn't bet a thin dime on it, but I would have bet heavy on Tampa Bay today.
Yeah, I mean, I put a little bit on Tampa Bay today.
Okay,
I mean,
you got a thin dime on it, huh?
I mean, you
don't have a dime in gaming parlance, do you?
No, I do not.
Good.
But, I mean, you look at this offense.
And take the fun out of it.
Absolutely. But, I mean, you look at this offense, and I thought they would immediately be able to bounce back after that loss. I thought they'd be embarrassed to lose like that at home and bounce back today. And right now, it looks just the opposite. It looks like they might just lay down and let Texas advance to the next round. But we'll talk a little more baseball later in the show. Actually, throughout the show, we'll talk a good amount of baseball today. But let me set up today's show before we get to top and not top story of the day. At 3:30, Matt Pauly from KMOX and the Cardinals radio network will join us to talk some baseball. We'll get his thoughts on the end of the season for the Cardinals, some of those moves that he expects or he wants to see this offseason. We'll also get his thoughts on the playoffs this year. We'll do that at 3:30. 3:45, we'll look at some of the early lines in the NFL and college football for this week, and I think some really intriguing lines and some really intriguing games out there. 4 o'clock, David Cohn, the co-host of Crane and Company, will join us to talk college football just like he does every Wednesday afternoon. At 4:30, Brett, you were teasing this a lot yesterday. We're going to get to our grades. It's about we're a month into the season, so we'll get to...
I teased it on Wolo and Friends this morning as well.
Did you? Oh, I'm excited about these grades. We're going to have to do a lot of grades at 4:30 as we're a month into the college football season. We'll get to our college football grades at 4:30. 4:45, big number of the day. 5 o'clock, Chris Gordy from the Locked On SEC podcast, also from Sports Talk 790, will join us. We'll talk a lot of SEC with him, but also Chris Gordy down there in Houston. We'll also have to talk about the Houston Astros as they won the AL West and getting ready to start their postseason after these wild card games are complete. At 5:30, we'll get to what's trending. At 5:45, we'll wrap up today's show like we always do with Taco Bell Crunch Time. But let me remind you, we're in our Family Leisure Studios where family and fun come together. The world's biggest spa sale, it's back and bigger than ever. 50 different models to choose from, 5 different manufacturers, up to 30% off in-stock spas and swim spas. Free upgrades on all in-stock spas, and the 24-month same as cash, it's still available, but only at Family Leisure, 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40.
He's Brian, I'm Brett, and Johnny Hill with us as well from our Family Leisure Studios at Flynn Broadcasting. This hour of our show brought to you every day by our title sponsor, that's Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Call them at 901-334-9673. Great offers on all 2023 models and always special leasing options. Drive in luxury and confidence knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of the all-new 2023 flagship LS500, and you'll be looking and you'll be driving in style. The one and only Lexus dealership in town. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and they make for the luxury driving experience. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
top story of the day.
Well, my top story of the day, Major League Baseball playoffs are underway. We've had one full day of action. Second one has already kicked off, and we'll get 3 games after this. Another game getting ready to start here at about 3:30, a little after 3:30. But look at what the Rangers are doing right now. They're now up 5-0 over Tampa Bay in the 5th inning, really putting it on the Rays, who kind of made a lot of headlines this morning, last night and this morning, because of the lack of fan attendance in that first game yesterday. I said it looks, at least on camera, like it's a little better today, but it doesn't look like that much better. Blue Jays, Twins. The Twins get a 3-1 win in what I thought was a fun game. Kevin Gausman for the Blue Jays did not have his best start and gave up 3 runs in the first 3 innings. And for the Twins, it snapped their 19-game postseason losing streak up into that game yesterday. So a big win for the Twins to kind of get them back on track. We'll see what they do here in about 20 minutes. D-backs beat the Brewers 6-3. Phillies take care of the Marlins in what I thought was a fantastic crowd. Philly equals electricity. It was jumping in Philly for that game last night. I'm sure it will be the exact same tonight as they look to close out the Marlins. But I thought 4 really fun series, and we'll see how many of them go to a Game 3. Brett, I was with you. I thought we would get a Game 3 in most, if not all, of these games. But after what I've seen through 4.5 innings in St. Pete, I think we'll at least have one end today.
No guarantees. My top story, 4 baseball series, all 1-0. All could end today, tonight. All could be extended to third and decisive games, with all the games being played at the home of the better seeded team. I think for all the shots at baseball, I think they really have that right. And I heard Rob Manfred with a impassioned defense of that and getting away from the one gamer. Going into these games, I would have ranked these teams in this order. It's how much I know, how little I know. 1 Tampa Bay, 2 Philadelphia, 3 Milwaukee, 4 Toronto, 5 Texas, 6 Minnesota, 7 Arizona, and 8 the Marlins. 5, 6, and 7 in my rankings all lead 1-0. That's baseball. And I don't think there's another sport, maybe golf, that you can have that's whatever, fill in the blank, that explains the sport better than that's baseball or that's golf. Must win for Tampa Bay, Toronto, Milwaukee, and Miami.
Not top story of the day.
Well, my not top story of the day. College football back tonight. Last night, our only day without football until, middle of November, I think. So it's going to be a lot of fun over the next couple of weeks. Tonight, we've got CUSA action. And Brett, we talk a lot about conference realignment, kind of these new look conferences, but nobody's talking about the new look CUSA. I mean, that conference looks very different than what it looked like 2 to 3 years ago. A lot of new faces. Tonight, Jacksonville State versus MTSU. Don't look now, but Jacksonville State 4-1 on the season, looking to make it 5-1. That's right. That should be a great coaching matchup tonight. That game's 7 o'clock.
2 coaching lifers, too.
Oh, yeah. You're 100% right on that. That's 7 o'clock tonight on ESPNU. Then the late game tonight, 8 o'clock on CBS Sports Network. Florida International versus New Mexico State, 3-2 Florida International, 2-3 New Mexico State. A lot of people won't be intrigued by that one. I think I'm more excited for that one later tonight. 2 teams that I don't think either are great, and we'll see who can win that one. New Mexico State, 6.5-point favorite.
My not top story probably was top story earlier in the week, but as the week wears on, it's not top story, and it's a good kind of not top story, I think. The Memphis football Tigers are enjoying the open date.
Yeah.
And every summertime prediction would have loved being in this spot at 4-1 and readying themselves for what I think is the biggest home game since the AAC championship game in 2019. Maybe the biggest regular season home game since when game day was here and played SMU that night at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium. But isn't next Friday night a de facto AAC championship game against Tulane? Tulane saw UCF twice last year. This could be the first of 2 meetings this year, but this one will decide home field advantage. Memphis Tigers win that one, then if it's a rematch, it will be in Memphis. 9 days from now, it will be big. But the Tigers so far this year, we're going to give out grades later.
Yep.
One word to describe them, solid.
like that. Well, I'll do it for top and not top story of the day. Let's go ahead and get to our first break of the day. And when we come back, we're going to talk some baseball with Matt Polly from KMOX and the Cardinals Radio Network. That's next on Sports Time.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
You or someone you know or care about has dealt with a difficult divorce. When facing divorce, you need the attorneys at Rice Law. Nick and Larry Rice lead the firm with 3 generations and 7 decades of experience. Located in Memphis, serving the entire state of Tennessee and North Mississippi. Rice Law is who you need to call. Simple or difficult divorce, they know how to handle it. Call Rice Law at 901-526-6701, or for more information, visit them at aboutdivorce.com. That's aboutdivorce.com.
The Crazy Coop, America's premier wing destination, has 27 delicious flavors to choose from and counting. Like the Buffalo Ranch, a perfect combo of ranch seasoning with a little kick. Mango Habanero, sweet taste of mango followed by the heat. Or sweet maple bourbon. The taste will remind you of chicken and waffles. And that's just 3 of the amazing 27 chicken wing seasonings that you can get at the Crazy Coop in Bartlett at 7199 Stage Road. And now open the Crazy Coop Express at 1315 Ridgeway off Poplar. Some like it hot. How about the Crazy Sweet Lemon Pepper Hot or Crazy Suicide? Can't take the heat? Get the 4-cheese roasted garlic or barbecue bacon bourbon. Ask about the $9.99 lunch special. Now those are some crazy good prices. The Crazy Coop, 2 locations, 7199 Highway 64 between Applin and Kirby Whitten, and 1315 Ridgeway off Poplar. Family owned and operated, The Crazy Coop, America's premier wing destination.
My dad has a cold, but also has high blood pressure. That's why I got him Vicks DayQuil High Blood Pressure for max strength daytime relief. Unlike some ordinary cold medicines, it's specially formulated for people like my dad. DayQuil High Blood Pressure is sugar-free, alcohol-free, and decongestant-free.
Vicks DayQuil High Blood Pressure. The daytime, non-drowsy, coughing, aching, fever, sore throat, cold, and flu for people with high blood pressure.
Like my dad.
Medicine. Use as directed.
Chris Price here with Metro Builders. Is your roof leaking? Do you have mold stains on the ceiling of your home or business? Is your carrier denying your claim or offering a repair because they just don't have enough documentation? You need a contractor that performs work for insurance carriers each and every day, and Metro Builders is here to assist. This is why you call Metro Builders. At Metro Builders, we provide free estimates and consultation and love to assist homeowners with their claims. Metro Builders' process of arriving, inspecting, and diagnosing problems is second to none. Our team of Hague-certified technicians are standing by to assist you with providing estimates and photos to your carrier to document your loss. And the best part of all you owe is what your policy states. No large fees on top of the final scope. We use high-grade materials and are certified by companies like Atlas, Certainteed, Owens Corning, and even Mulehide. We offer best-in-class warranties on all of our jobs, up to 50 years. When it comes to roofs and restoration, call Metro Builders to schedule your free inspection. Call me. 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717.
Wow, I feel good shopping at DriveMax, you get value.
Need a car that screams I feel good? DriveMax has it all. From cars to SUVs, find a tightly inspected used car that'll have you dancing all the way home. Call 901-664-2424 or visit DriveMaxApproval.com.
DriveMax, I got approved.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
Listen Sundays at 11 a.m. to join Idlewild Presbyterian Church for worship. Idlewild is a PCUSA church located in Midtown Memphis.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. Just a couple of mishaps out here in the last 15-20 minutes. Traffic's on the increase. Sam Cooper going outbound here at Perkins, trying to get back up towards the interstate. Not bad. 240 east as you make your way onto 385 Bill Morris Parkway. A little bit of traffic coming off 240 onto Lamar, headed outbound towards Olive Branch. Hey, Smoky Mountain Fall Festival is underway right now at Ober-Gatlinburg. Check out all the details at obergatlinburg.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
We're going to visit with Matt Pauley momentarily from KMOX Sports in St. Louis and the Cardinals radio network, and we'll talk with him mostly. It's not just going to be Cardinal fans grousing and complaining. It's going to be mostly about the playoffs. We are going to ask him about what the reaction there in St. Louis among the Cardinal faithful, what it's like after a very humbling 71-91 year and not in the postseason. What it shows in sports can be that big old dose of humble pie is nothing is a birthright. Not for anybody out there. Even for these dynastic teams that look so easy for them, we're probably at the end of Golden State winning it. The Yankees haven't won it since 2009. It's over for New England, for the Patriots. It feels maybe like it's at the end or over for Alabama winning national championships. They could improve. They could get better. But it's how fragile it is. Nothing is a birthright in sports, and it's why when you're rocking along and it's going well, you better enjoy it. You better enjoy it. And it doesn't mean when you're doing it, all joking aside, you got to stick it in your friend's ear that's a fan of another team because what goes around can sure come around.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. And we're starting to see that. I mean, I have a lot of friends of different teams that I have y'all have been bad. And now see what it got us. And
that's right.
And the Cardinals struggling this year. But Matt Pauley with us now from KMOX, also the Cardinals Network, to talk some baseball with us. So Matt, we were just talking. I mean, what is it like in St. Louis right now with the playoffs, the wild card starting yesterday, and the Cardinals nowhere to be found?
It's weird. It's really weird. Thanks for having me on, fellas. We're used to the Cardinals being in the playoffs, and especially now that it's the expanded playoff, it really feels like they should be in it every year. And to finish the season 20 games under 500 for as many things to go poorly as went, I mean, it's odd to be watching these games, and the only thing we can talk about Cardinals related is 2024.
Matt, I sure don't want to draw you into a firing conversation. I'm just going to say blanket for a lot of teams out there that aren't in the postseason this year. That would include Yankees and would include Red Sox. I would put the Angels up there, maybe even the Padres. If you don't go to these expanded playoffs, if you miss them 2 years in a row, then I think everybody, it ought to be standard written into contracts. You're out.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I think John Mozeliak, and I will put it right to the Cardinals, John Mozeliak has done enough in his tenure to earn being able to fix this. But he hasn't earned the right to take 3 years to fix it. He's earned the right to go into this offseason and fix it. And that was the term that we heard from Oliver Marmol after the final game. You got to fix it. And that's what they got to do. So if we're having the exact same conversations a year from now, if they go have another season where they're double-digit games under 500 and they're not in the playoffs, I think the conversation is very different than it is right now. At that point, the pressure to move on from a John Mozeliak, to move on from an Oliver Marmol, it intensifies. But specifically to Mo, I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what he's going to do to fix what happened this year.
Yeah. Well, especially the second half of the season, we saw a couple young guys moved up to St. Louis, Mason Wynn being one of them, Jordan Walker playing most of the season in St. Louis. Those two guys in particular, kind of the young guys, what did you make of for Jordan, that almost full season, and then for Mason, kind of that second half of the year while he was up at St. Louis?
Yeah, I think Jordan Walker had a heck of a season, and we've talked about it a lot. Defensively, he left something to be desired at times out in the outfield, but this is a guy who was playing high school baseball 3 years ago and wasn't playing the outfield till midway through the season last year. So when you consider where he came from, I think he did an admirable job in the outfield. It's kind of interesting, and this isn't an original thought by me. I'll give credit to Ricky Horton from the Cardinals Radio Network. He made the point at one point, the second to last series between the Cardinals and the Reds a few weeks ago. He made the point that everybody's talking about De La Cruz, and rightfully so. He's a really young, exciting, fun player, and what he does even from a defensive standpoint is really interesting. But very few people from a national standpoint after Walker made his debut were talking about him. Sometimes he would get a little bit of a mention because of all his hitting streaks, but go look at De La Cruz's numbers and go look at Walker's numbers, and Walker had the much superior offensive season, yet if you just went based off where the national conversation was at, people probably wouldn't realize that.
And on the flip side of if you don't make it 2 years in a row, next year, if John Mozeliak and Michael Gersh and Oliver Marmol, if they get it fixed, then everybody gets new deals. That goes with it too.
Yeah, and totally. And those young, and I didn't even mention Mason Wynn. I know that was part of that conversation. He a solid month for him to get his feet wet at the big league level. I think he proved that he can be a defensive shortstop at the major league level and be a difference-making defensive shortstop at the major league level. He's got to hit a little bit more. Historically, through his minor league career, it would take him about a month to get his feet wet and get acclimated, and then he would take off offensively. So hopefully he got that subpar month out of the way here. But those guys, and then still having Arenado and Goldschmidt, and then just completely redoing the pitching staff, if they do that, that's going to be enough for them to be a very good team, to be a playoff team once again. And then, as you allude to, people are going to have a whole lot more job security at that point in time.
Yeah, I love what you said about Mason Wynn and kind of that slow first month, almost kind of similar to what we saw with Nolan Gorman. I remember when he was here in Memphis, I was covering the Redbirds, and it was kind of the same thing at Double-A, a slow start kind of month for him, and then really got off strong, and same thing here in Memphis, kind of that first month and a half, and then same thing when he got up to St. Louis. So I hope we see that from Mason as well, because Nolan Gorman was pretty good this year at the plate. But you mentioned the pitching rotation, and that's been kind of the big question all season long from opening day, really. What do you expect this front office to do this offseason going out and acquiring starting pitchers?
Yeah, I think they're going to do a lot. I think they've painted themselves into a corner where they've said they're going to do a lot, so they have to go out and do a lot. When they talk about bringing in 3 starting pitchers, and honestly, I would be comfortable. It's not a perfect world scenario, but I would be comfortable if they brought in a legit 1, a legit 2, and then you had Michaelis and Matz at your 3 and your 4, and you let everybody else just battle out for that 5 spot, and that'd be fine. I think that's not the perfect scenario, but that'd be fine. But I think there's a lot of people inside the Cardinals organization who think that they're going to bring in a 1, a 2, and a 3, and at that point it's really going to be Michaelis and Matz in that 4 and 5 spot, and then all the rest of the pitching depth, whether it's a Drew Rom, a Dakota Hudson, a Zach Thompson, if Matthew Liberatore were to go back to the starting rotation, but I really think his future's in the bullpen. But whoever you want to mention, all those guys are going to be there if there is an injury or if you need a 6th starter. And, that generally happens. Very rarely do you walk out of spring training with the 5 guys that you thought it was going to be. So I think that the goal is to bring in 3 starting pitchers to be in those top 3 spots in the rotation.
All right, Matt, I know it's always a tough task. Speak for your entire listening audience at night when you're doing Sports Open Line. Who do you think is the adopted team among Cardinal fans for this October run for someone to be crowned World Series champions?
Yeah, that's a good question. There's only one team from the NL Central, so if you root for your division to do well, it's the Brewers, but it's hard to root for the Brewers. The Phillies are the team that knocked the Cardinals out last year, so maybe that kind of continues on. The Braves do things the right way. They draft and develop, and then once they create superstars, they get them locked into long-term deals. So if you're looking for the blueprint that most fits what the Cardinals would like to probably do, it's probably the Atlanta Braves. The Tampa Bay Rays are a team that, they don't spend a lot of money, but man, do they invest in all other areas of the baseball operation. That's something that I think Cardinal fans would like the Cardinals to do a little bit more. So I think those are the teams that jump out. I'd probably go Braves just because the way they do things is the blueprint.
Mm-hmm. Well, for Matt Pauley,
anybody but Dodgers?
Ooh.
Yeah. Although, you know what?
Yeah.
The thing I appreciate about the Dodgers, I don't especially like the Dodgers, but the thing that I really appreciate about them is the Mets went and spent gobs and gobs and gobs of money, but they did it in a really kind of stupid way. The Dodgers take all the smart stuff that the Rays do, and then they take all the money that the Mets put in, and they bring it together. The Dodgers are as smart of an organization. They invest just as much in the stuff that Tampa Bay invests in as they do in players. So if you had unlimited money, I do think you would look to the Dodgers as a way to do things.
Yeah. All right, Matt, you speak for the listening audience. Now speak for yourself. Who does Matt Pauley think wins the World Series this year?
I think the Braves win. I think they're the best team.
Yeah.
I feel like they can, if they want to score a bunch of runs, I just feel like they can flip a button and do it. I know that they're flawed a little bit from a pitching standpoint. I get that. I'm not trying to run away from that. But offensively, from a run scoring standpoint, they're just so stinking good. I don't know how you beat them.
Yeah.
And in the American League, I saw them in May of 2022 at Busch Stadium, the Baltimore Orioles, and I came back saying they've got something going. Well, they really have that now. Over 100 wins, very young team, 28th in payroll. They're going to have to pay all these guys eventually. If they can keep the Angelos family away from them, they'll do fine.
Yeah, they're a fun team. I think generally speaking, baseball's better when the Orioles are playing good baseball. You mentioned the Angelos family, and obviously you would probably wish that they had a different ownership group there. I always pump the brakes a little bit, though, when it comes to teams that had a breakout year and have not been in the playoffs a lot recently. And I don't always get that right, but it just always feels like they don't have that recent playoff experience and that there's some value in that. So of all the really good teams from a record standpoint that made it to the playoffs this year, I'm probably most weary about the Orioles.
Yeah. Matt, last thing for you. We talked to Tom Ackerman right after that 200th win for Adam Wainwright. And, even though the Cardinals weren't playing for the postseason, obviously a lot of memorable moments in St. Louis with Adam Wainwright, that 200th game. But then also his final weekend, that last game, he gets an at-bat. They present him a puppy. What was that final weekend like, kind of honoring Adam Wainwright and what he did for the Cardinals?
Yeah, it was great. It was the only real good things that happened to the Cardinals this year were connected to Wainwright and winning his 200th game and that final weekend, not including young players taking steps forward and things like that. So, yeah, it was great. This is a guy who's an all-time Cardinal who loves the team, loves the organization, loves the city, loves the fans, and it was an opportunity for the fans and everybody else to give back to him one final time. And the year didn't go the way anybody thought the year was going to go. And that's a cold, hard fact. And we've later, found out from an injury standpoint, when he won that 200th game, he probably wasn't going to be able to pitch again after that, almost no matter what. So just a great opportunity to give back and for the city of St. Louis to tell Adam Wainwright just how much he means to St. Louis, because Waino over and over has told St. Louis how much it means to him.
And he's got a chance to go on to be one of the foremost broadcasters across sport.
Yeah, I think so. He's so well-spoken. He's got a great sense of humor. He understands the game. He understands the history of the game. I think he is a star in the making. The only question is, how much is he going to want to work? You play Major League Baseball for that many years. You've got a family. You might want to sleep in a few days. You might not want the grind. But if he wants to, whatever he wants to do in broadcasting, he can do.
Yeah, I think both of you are right on that. But, Matt, thanks so much for joining us, and let's do this again soon.
Yeah, fellas, anytime. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you, Matt, so much. It was great listening to Matt all year. And dadgummit, I forgot to congratulate him on how great he sounded doing the games down the end of the year. I was listening to one.
Really good.
sounded real good, and he's a young man in a hurry too.
Yeah, no, he. I was able to catch. I saw it on Twitter that he posted that he was going to be doing a couple of those games down the stretch, and yeah, no, he sounded really, really good in those games. But let's go ahead and get to a break, because when we come back, we got to talk about some of these lines for the week in NFL and college football. I think some very intriguing early lines, at least as we're sitting here on a Wednesday. But we'll do that next on Sports Time.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Looking for your next car? Give Car Corner a try. Car Corner, located at 2653 Mount Moriah. They specialize in cars under $15,000. Bad credit? No problem at Car Corner. CarCornerMemphis.com. That's CarCornerMemphis.com. They even have cash cars under $7,000. That's Car Corner at 2653 Mount Moriah. CarCornerMemphis.com. Look for the building with the teal green roof.
Hi, this is Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roof Services. If you need a new roof for your home or business, we hope to hear from you and will work hard to earn your business. We are experts and certified in residential and commercial roofing, siding, and gutter installation. I have been serving the Memphis area for over 20 years, and now with two of my sons working with me, we plan to be here for years to come. So if you need a roof, please give us a call. On a personal note, what a great time it is to be a Memphis sports fan. With the Grizzlies and the Redbirds and 901 FC, not to mention Tigers football and basketball, it's going to be a fun year. Thanks to Coach Silverfield and Coach Hardaway and their staffs for their dedication to the student and athletes, the University of Memphis, the City of Memphis, and us fans. Five Ash Roof Services, a proud partner of the Memphis Tigers and the official roofer of the Tigers home team. Five Ash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or MemphisRoofer.com. 367-0050 or MemphisRoofer.com.
Five Ash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
A cold shower is no way to start your day. Purchase a new water heater from the pros at Conway Services, and you may be eligible for up to $2,000 in federal tax credits. Call 384-3511 to schedule your appointment. Visit ConwayServices.com for details, terms, and conditions.
License number 64210, 64365 EAS, MS 19688.
Call 384-3511. Conway Services. Call Conway today.
At Sissy's Log Cabin, you'll find only spectacular natural diamonds that will remain treasured for generations. That promise is now symbolized by the engraved Sissy signature and sapphire, representing our guarantee of extraordinary service, selection, experience, and quality. Stop by any of our stores or visit sissyslogcabin.com and experience the Sissy's promise for yourself. Find a jeweler for a lifetime, only at Sissy's Log Cabin, because life's too short for ordinary jewelry.
Begin your exciting career in broadcasting today. Jobs in advertising, sales, promotion, news, business administration, engineering, and more are available throughout the state. Find out about career opportunities by visiting the Tennessee Broadcasters Virtual Job Fair at broadcastersvirtualjobfair.com. Get information about opportunities available in the broadcast industry as well as specific positions here at Flynn Broadcasting Corporation. Apply online now to begin the process of establishing a career in Tennessee's exciting broadcast industry. Minorities and women are strongly encouraged to visit. Brought to you by Flynn Broadcasting Corporation at www.broadcastersvirtualjobfair.com.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you, and we talked a lot of baseball to start the show. We got to look ahead to some of these games over the weekend, both college football and the NFL, as we're only a couple days away. College football today, tomorrow, and Friday, but we'll really get the full slate started on Saturday. Brett, where you want to start looking at these games?
Red River Shootout, Saturday morning, 11 o'clock, and game day will be there. They've been there a lot, and it will be some scene. Last time ever in the Big 12 for these two. And Texas, I think Texas has the best road win of the year in college football, but I think FSU's got the best two wins of the year, one on the road at Clemson and one at a neutral that was kind of to their advantage against LSU. This is going to be good. Texas 6.5 Saturday morning early on the fairgrounds of the Cotton Bowl, that'll be a wild scene.
Yeah, it will be. And we know they like those 11 a.m. starts for this game.
They do. It was 11 when I went.
Yeah, it seems like they like 11 a lot. Kind of early, but hey, if you want a game to start the day that's really going to get you fired up, this is the one. I really like both of these teams, and I heard somebody today, I can't remember what I was listening to or what I was watching, and they had a handicapper on, and whoever it was said, as long as it's under a touchdown, I'm taking Texas. And like you said, maybe the best road win of the year, and also that win against Kansas last weekend. It's kind of hard to bet against Texas at this point.
It was a rout last year, and Brent Venables probably needs it more than Sark, but Sark needs it. Brian, I told you wrong yesterday. I was talking about how great the Cotton Bowl looks now compared to the first time I ever saw it. I said 81, Stones concert. I was wrong. 71. Browns Cowboys preseason football game.
Wow, a little preseason action. Oh,
and
Brett, beautiful.
Hot as the eighth layer of Hades.
I can only imagine.
At night at the Cotton Bowl.
I bet. I bet. But 71. Good
Lance
Lord.
Allworth on the Cowboys then.
Wow, a while ago.
That was either 71 or 72. We went 1 year to Browns, Cowboys, and then the next year, I think that was 71, and in 72 we went to Rangers, Yankees baseball. The first year the Rangers were in Arlington.
That's awesome. 71. Good
Long
Lord.
time ago.
Long time ago. Glad to know that it still looks good, though.
Looks better than it's ever looked.
Wow.
Here's one. Washington State. They've done it really quietly, haven't they?
No,
they're getting 3.5 at the Rose Bowl against UCLA. UCLA's made more noise nationally than an undefeated Washington State.
Yeah, they have, and I know we're not picking these games right now, but I would almost take Washington State. You said they've been a kind of that sneaky, really, really, really good team this year. Nobody's really talking about
in the year of the quarterback. He could be top 3 or 4. Cam Ward at Washington State, the transfer from Incarnate Word, and during his recruitment, Ole Miss was really close on him.
Really,
and there were a lot of kind of Southern type teams close on him, and I think the deal that won it for Washington State, his coach at Incarnate Word. I think is the offensive coordinator now at Washington State.
I think you might be right, or maybe
a little bit of a power play
like
and something.
Of course.
There's a lot of something out there for everybody.
Well, now it's legal. So, but for Washington State, you talk about the quarterback play in really the year of the quarterbacks, but really the conference of quarterbacks, and his name sometimes gets left out of these conversations for the best quarterback in the pack, and I think wrongfully so, because he's been really, really good. And on the other side, you look at UCLA, true freshman as their starting quarterback right now. They turned to him week 2, I believe. So kind of a young quarterback going up against a vet that might, like you said, be one of the best quarterbacks in the entire country. So even though it's on the road, I think I might like Washington State at that. 3.5 is a good number.
Here's a good example of the year of the quarterback. I'm looking at the AP Top 25 and the games in order for how they kick off on Saturday. Gabriel at Oklahoma, Ewers at Texas, Talia Tagovailoa at Maryland. Ohio State always has a good quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
Jaden Daniels at LSU, Cook at Mizzou, Ward at Washington State, the freshman at UCLA, Sims at Florida State, Alabama, big question mark.
Yeah.
A&M, a backup. And then you get to the 2:30 game, and you got May at North Carolina. A lot of quarterbacks out there. And if you don't have one, you have no chance.
Absolutely. I've got a couple of buddies that specifically with Alabama this year, Tennessee going into this week's, talking about that and saying, until you show me that you have a quarterback and that your quarterback is going to compete at a high level, right now with the way college football is being played this year, it's hard to bet on a team that that doesn't have a proven quarterback back there. And so you're right. You're seeing all over the country. I pointed out the Pac-12 just because, you can go down the list of those schools and go quarterback, but you can really do that at a lot of places across the country.
You can, and I was shocked last week to see the result of Georgia Tech against Bowling Green, because I think Haynes King is all that, and Georgia Tech playing Miami 21-point favorites. I think that game will stay closer than that, especially maybe even closer after the loss to Bowling Green than if they had won.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think it definitely could. And I'm excited to talk to David because I want to ask him about Miami because really after everyone wanted to, it seemed like all that hype was there last year before the season and then just not a great season for Miami. And it really seemed like everybody wanted to put them down after that season. Now, a really good start to the season for Miami. It doesn't seem like a ton of people are talking about them this year. So I'm eager to hear David's thoughts about Miami this year. But 20.5, that's a lot of points for, like you said, a Georgia Tech team that I think has a really competent quarterback back there.
I was just stunned with the Bowling Green score. I thought Georgia Tech pretty good. You could argue Tulane played Ole Miss close. Maybe even better ruggedly on defense than LSU did.
Absolutely.
And Georgia Tech moved the ball on offense.
Yeah, no, you're right about that. So, no, that would be a good one, a kind of big spread there. Another one that I know we kind of talked about yesterday a little bit, but this Maryland-Ohio State game, I've been, seeing this. One of my buddies, big Ohio State fan, he was texting me, asking me what I thought about this one. 19.5, I think it was about
game.
But I think it was 20.5 yesterday. Now it's moved down to 19.5 for Ohio State. But this one, Maryland undefeated right now, and with Ohio State looking pretty good this year. That's still a big number though against a undefeated team in conference.
NFL on Sunday. Patriots 1-point favorite at home over the Saints. That's only because they're at home. Mm-hmm. Baltimore 4-point favorite on the road at Acrisure Stadium against the Steelers. And Atlanta slim favorite, 2 points over the Texans in Atlanta on Sunday.
Yeah, and then the one that really is jumping off to me, Vikings at home, only a 4.5-point dog against Kansas City. Minnesota just got their first win of the season last week, needed a comeback to get it, so I wouldn't be surprised if that line moves a little bit in the favor of Kansas City. But
that's a Super Bowl matchup from days gone by.
It is
long for Hank Stram and the wireless mic that made him famous.
Yeah, and then Sunday Night Football. Cowboys 3.5-point dog against San Francisco. So
and gave a new definition to matriculate.
yeah. But that'll do it for our first hour. Let's go ahead and get to a break. When we come back, we'll talk college football with David Cohn.
Start your day the right way at La Palapa with the biggest, baddest breakfast burrito around. Chorizo, cheese, rice, beans, and eggs served with fresh salsa, and it's served all day. La Palapa has daily lunch specials, all served with rice and beans, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Try a torta, breaded chicken, steak, chorizo, or ham served with mayo, avocado, lettuce, tomato, and jalapenos, all in a hoagie. Plus amazing soups and dinner entrees, all at La Palapa, 5255 Summer Avenue. La Palapa, the little hut with big taste.
For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger. Because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Jenkins Floors and More in Hernando is growing. This family business started up 5 years ago with just one pallet, and now they have hundreds. Tim, the owner, gets calls from people everywhere and can sometimes save them up to 50% on wood flooring, carpet, tile, and vinyl. Jenkins Floors and More helps with renovations, home building, and installation. Jenkins Floors and More, number 6 East Commerce Street in Hernando. Also in Little Rock and coming soon to Tennessee. Call 662-469-9350 for more information.
Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company, we have it all. From handmade Amish leather belts, fine and casual clothing, boots, casual boots, work boots, fancy boots, and even safety-toed boots. Lots of cowboy hats to choose from, even Nebo lights, good-looking duck head dress shirts, duck head caps, shorts, and pants. Tons of jeans from Ariat, Wrangler, Devil Dog, and Kimes Ranch jeans. At Hewlett & Dunn, we have a great selection of Old South t-shirts and caps. Fine clothing from dress to casual to Sunday best. Enjoy choosing from UFO's orthopedic approved shoes. Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company. Boots of every size, every color, every skin. Great quality Western, work, and safety toe boots. Hewlett & Dunn Boots and Clothing Company. 111 North Center Street, Collierville. Hewlett & Dunn. Hewlett & Dunn, serving you and your family since 1961.
I'm Kelly Erb with Mark Spensdorf Realtors, and I just had to ask, Sheldon, did you really just buy a set of golf clubs and you never tried them out?
Yep, that's right.
And Sheldon, didn't you tell me whenever you buy a car, you never test drive it?
Again? Yep.
Don't you think that's pretty bizarre since you always tell people to talk to 2 or 3 agents when they sell their home?
Yes, it is. I'm Sheldon Rosengarten, and I'm also with Mark Spensdorf Realtors with Kelly. It's funny, we tell people that you should always talk to more than one agent to find out not only what they think about your home, but more importantly, what they will do for you. And you really need to make sure and include us in the interview process.
I agree, because how are you going to find out about our strategic marketing program with the Shellbucks option? And as people often say, when you want the job done, call Sheldon.
That's Sheldon Rosengarten and Kelly Erb. Call or email us at memphisrelocate.com or 682-1868. Do it now, 682-1868 or memphisrelocate.com.
Sports 56 traffic.
Certain areas are seeing some rain showers, especially west of Memphis. Be careful down I-40 and parts of Arkansas. This afternoon, headed out towards Forest City. It's picked up with more volume just in the last few minutes as we take another look over here at 55 southbound across the bridge. I-40 is building up by Chelsea as all that traffic starts to develop now coming out of Midtown. Hey, Smoky Mountain Fall Festival, it's going on right now at Ober-Gatlinburg. Check it out online at obergatlinburg.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. College football talk as David Cohn, the co-host of Crane & Company with Jake Crane, joins Bryant, Brett, and Jay Morgan, a college quarterback at Michigan, a tall man that's on Twitter at David Adam Cohn. Here's David with Bryant, Brett, and Jay Morgan.
David Cohn joining us now from Crane & Company, talking college football with us every single Wednesday. David, thanks so much for joining us, and I'm going to throw a hard hitter at you right off the bat. Through 5 weeks, how many teams do you think have a realistic shot of making a college football playoffs? On top of that, how many teams have a chance to win the whole thing?
Well, boys, thanks for having me again. I don't know how we blinked, and we're already at week 6 here, but I'll tell you what, I am here for it, and I am loving it. Let's see, I'll start with your first question and say at least a dozen still. I mean, I'm looking around. I mean, first of all, let's just talk about the Big Ten East, right? I mean, Penn State's still very much in this thing. Mm-hmm. We got the Buckeyes and Michigan, that trifecta, but even Maryland. We just talked to Sean Merriman today. You know, Maryland's undefeated. They go to the Buckeyes. We find out a little bit more, right? Let's go to the SEC East here. Georgia, you know, skated by there, and a close one in Jordan-Hare and Auburn last week. They're undefeated as they host an undefeated Kentucky team who really just beat the brakes off Florida. I didn't see that one happening. And then, you know, the Pac-12 obviously is going to take care of itself. I don't know who's going to emerge. I don't know if the whole conference is going to cannibalize itself. But Washington's a very good football team. I had them going to my college football playoff at the beginning of the year. USC has some serious problems on defense, but just look what they're able to do on the offensive side of the ball with the reigning Heisman Trophy winner. We got to find out a little bit more about Utah losing at Oregon State. You know, without Cam Rising, I don't think that they are a very serious contender. But look, Washington State still very much in this thing. Oregon really, to me, is the most balanced team in that conference. And then the Big 12, several teams could still make the college football playoff and possibly win the whole thing out of there. And I know we're going to get to the Red River Shootout, but the undefeated matchup that we're headed for with that one, both of those teams not only could make the playoff, but win the whole thing.
Could be classic Red River, and we will get to it. David Cohn, you just gave an answer that for a long time in the 90s, early 2000s, I would often give when people were talking about a playoff in college football. I wasn't anti-playoff. I just couldn't believe college football administrators would ever go to it. The money got right, and that's why they're going to it. And I'm for it. I'm for when we was just at 2, when we got to 4. Now we're going to 12. I'll be for it when it expands past 12. But your answer sounded like me a lot of the 90s and 2000s when I would say we have a playoff in college football. It's called the regular season. Let it play out.
Yes. No doubt at all. And what I've said to people who have constantly said, no, we need to expand beyond 4. My biggest complaint is not that, a 12-team or a 16-team playoff wouldn't be a lot of fun, especially when you start talking about having those first-round games on campus. That's the coolest thing that we're going to see. But my biggest complaint is, before Larry Culpepper in the Dr. Pepper commercials even graced us with his presence, people were calling for 12 teams when we hadn't even run one of these 14 playoffs out there yet. And what I said was, we haven't seen a scenario yet where more than 4 teams could win the national championship. And guys, we're in week 5 here, and we're talking about a dozen or so teams and we're all really excited about it, but let the season play out, because every single week we get more information. We get to know these teams a little bit more, and it always plays itself out. Now, I do think that an expanded playoff would lead to some increased parity because, say some of these teams that haven't made the college football playoff but somehow always put together good seasons, you look like an Ole Miss team or something, what they did to LSU last week. They would be on sort of that periphery of a 12-team playoff. They could go then and use that on the recruiting trail to their benefit, right? Or say a Penn State, right, who's beating all the teams they're supposed to beat, but they're losing to the Buckeyes, they're losing to the Wolverines, they're on the outside looking in most of the time when it comes to the college football playoff. They could use that on the recruiting trail. But either way, guys, it doesn't matter to me. 4 teams, 12 teams, whatever. The product on the field right now is spectacular. And as much as I did still love college football when it was the BCS system, this whole thing about, even before that was splitting national championships with the AP and the coaches poll, that wasn't doing us any good, right? If we're going to claim someone national champion, then we have to play this out. And then obviously the BCS era had its own faults too, when you have an undefeated Auburn team on the outside looking in, watching Oklahoma just get the brakes beat off of them by USC back in 2004. So, for all the complaints there are with college football, I think, we're watching something pretty spectacular here.
And I think you just described very well, David, a year from now, and that's what teams have to be positioning for and getting their act together, getting their stuff together. Ole Miss, Arkansas, Mississippi State, South Carolina, Mizzou, Kentucky, other conferences, even non-power 5s like Memphis, like the Air Force Academy. So many teams, they got to be positioned and poised. So this time next year, maybe not in, but you got to keep selling sunshine to your fans that at least we're getting close.
No doubt. And I think, Tim Brando came on our show and he said, hey, I think we're only going to be with 12 teams for 1 year because that's how long we have that TV rights deal in place. After that, they have to sign another one. Mm-hmm. And they're going to be looking and saying, why are we giving first-round buys to teams when we're still playing football in that first week? Let's just go to 16 and make even more money. And so, obviously, it becomes a slippery slope. I don't think it's going to water down the regular season at all. Yeah, it's true. They say, hey, the first week of the college football is the only sport where the very first week actually matters. I don't think we're going to see that affected too much. But, Brian, to answer the second part of your question you asked me there when I said I think there are a dozen or so teams right now that could still make the college football playoff, I think we're looking at half that, really, maybe even less than half that could actually win the whole thing. I think Georgia's in that conversation. Michigan's in that conversation. Certainly this Texas team we're about to see roll out here in the Red River this weekend. Florida State is very much in that conversation. And I still think there's a Pac-12 team out there that really could be sort of a fly in the ointment, as they say.
Well, Davey, you just mentioned Texas as one of those teams that could win the whole thing, and a big game this weekend against a Oklahoma team that looks a lot better than they did last year. I've had a lot of fun watching this Oklahoma offense in particular, but what do you expect from this matchup, the Red River rivalry between Oklahoma and Texas on Saturday?
Oh, I'm so excited for this one, man. We're certainly not going to be in store for a 49-0 Texas win like last year. First of all, Dylan Gabriel's healthy, right? He's back and he's healthy, so let's hope it stays that way, because Oklahoma is really cooking when he's in control, and he's just a spectacular football player, an old school lefty gunslinger. Kind of reminds me of Mark Brunell, who's a family friend of ours, and I loved watching him play for sure. But then Brent Venables, the defensive excellence that he showcased at Clemson. Now he's the head coach at Oklahoma. He's been able to be in a second season to get that roster right, and they certainly look better on defense and in the secondary. Now, they're going to have a tall task, man. When you look at these Texas wide receivers and just what Steve Sarkisian is able to do with them, A.D. Mitchell and Xavier Worthy, I went back and I rewatched the Texas and Alabama game today, and I think Alabama has one of the better defenses in the country, and you look at the concepts that Sarkisian drew up, and Quinn Ewers' ability to hit those playmakers down the field, it's spectacular, man. Oklahoma is going to be in for a tall task, especially if they're unable to run the ball, which they haven't been able to do very, very well this season. My question is, how much does Dylan Gabriel get involved in the run game, and not just scrambles? Are there any quarterback-designed runs for him, and how many balls does he try and force down the field? Like I said, he's an old-school gunslinger. He tries to make every throw in the book. He can make every throw in the book, but his touchdown-to-interception ratio, considering that, is very, very solid. So does he try and force some balls? Does Texas, are they able to turn him over a couple times, sort of like they were with Jalen Milroe twice in that Alabama game? I don't know, but I think we're in store for a heck of a game.
David, I heard Paul Feinbaum about 2 hours ago say, hard to believe, but the South Florida win to a lot of people ended the Alabama dynasty. Well, now, and 2 weeks later, they look to be in a lot better shape after wins over Ole Miss and Mississippi State, home against Ole Miss, the road against State. And he asked this question right in his open at 2:05 today. Are we sleeping a little bit on the Bama A&M game Saturday?
Oh, is that what Paul Feinbaum said a couple hours ago?
He did.
Oh, okay. So anytime that Alabama's losing by a touchdown or something, or God forbid they even lose a football game, the Nick Saban dynasty is over, according to Paul Feinbaum. But then
he has a good way of going with the wind, doesn't he?
Yeah, he certainly does. I guess that's how he has to stay relevant or get people to tune into a show or something. And I watched Max Kellerman and many other ones do the same thing with Tom Brady throughout his career. God forbid Tom Brady throw an interception or lose a football game, and it's the end of Tom Brady's career. Even when he was 35, the guy was winning Super Bowls until he was 45. But either way, don't get me started on that. Obviously there were deficiencies, and I came on here for the last few weeks, and I've been talking about that Alabama had. Now, the thing is, Alabama's defense is going to keep them in every single football game. Their inability to get to Quinn Ewers in that Texas game and sack him, and even on the back end giving up some big plays, yes, that was surprising, but we just talked about, look, that's the Steve Sarkisian offense with a very high-level elite quarterback in Quinn Ewers with offensive weapons, and still Alabama was winning that football game in the fourth quarter, right? And Jalen Milroe had to throw 2 interceptions, and they were still winning that football game in the fourth quarter and had a chance. Now, the South Florida win, like we said, that was not pretty, and it was ugly, and I still don't think Tommy Rees has tailored this offense to Jalen Milroe as much as it can be, and maybe it's not Tommy Rees's fault. Look, he could be handcuffed. Nick Saban could be saying, this is the type of offense I want to run, and we're still going to drop back with Jalen Milroe like Bryce Young and Tua are still the quarterbacks. I don't know. I'm not inside the building. I don't know what's going on. I know I would be moving the launch point a little more. I would be rolling him out a little more. I'd be calling a little more Q power, Q draw, all those sorts of things. We saw that a little bit more against Mississippi State, right? Now, Mississippi State, I think, is starting to emerge as sort of the bottom of the barrel this season in the SEC West, which is sad because I hate the situation that happened there with Mike Leach. So it's sort of one of those get-right games, right? And I thought Alabama would win big, and they did. So how do they keep things moving here against Texas A&M? Because now we're going to see this battle. And I went back and I watched the Texas A&M against Miami game again today. And when you look at that one and the Texas-Alabama game, a lot of points in both of those games. I don't think that's what we're going to see here. I think Alabama at Texas A&M, we're going to see one of these ugly, gritty, grimy games, a lot like Bama played Ole Miss. That's what I think we're in store for. Because while I am a Max Johnson fan, I don't think Max Johnson has the skill set and the tools that Connor Wegman does. And Connor Wegman, I hope, comes back strong from that injury. Yeah. But either way, neither of them, I think, have the skill set that Quinn Ewers does, and that's what it took to go into Tuscaloosa and beat Alabama. And then on the flip side of that, Texas A&M has a very capable, athletic, fast defense. And, it took Tyler Van Dyke sitting in that pocket and hitting Restrepo out on the outside, making a ton of plays for Miami to really cook them up. I think both of these defenses are going to get after the opposing quarterbacks. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw turnovers on both sides and sort of had this really classic defensive battle going against one another. But either way, some of the greatest minds in the game. When you talk about Jimbo Fisher and Bobby Petrino going up against Kevin Steele and Nick Saban, we're in for a good one in College Station. Right now, I'm leaning Alabama.
Yeah, we definitely are, and you're absolutely right about the defenses. One of my favorite things this season in college football is just sitting and watching Texas A&M's defense because, like you said, they are fast, they are athletic, and they attack opposing quarterbacks. We're talking to David Cohn, the co-host of Crane and Company. One of my buddies, shout out Pierce, he is a massive Ohio State fan, so this might be coming from a little bit of fandom from him, but earlier today he told me that he thinks Ohio State's offense is trending toward being elite. And when you look at those weapons, they certainly have elite weapons out there. But when you look at this Ohio State offense, obviously a big game this weekend against undefeated Maryland. But what have you thought about Ohio State's offense?
I honestly cannot remember a time when the Buckeyes didn't have an elite offense. And I mean,
that's what I told him.
I mean, just look at the quarterbacks and wide receivers. Even if you didn't talk about the running backs, forget about the Ezekiel Elliott's and the Beanie Wells and all that. I mean, Put it this way, I think half of my wide receivers on my fantasy football team in the NFL right now are Buckeyes wide receivers.
It's just going to become more
every single year. And now all of a sudden we're talking about Marvin Harrison Jr. might be the best wide receiver prospect we've seen in 25 years, and he's better than all the other ones. Olave and Wilson went 10 and 11, right, a year ago. So, of course, they're elite on offense. And I thought that, the question in the offseason was, okay, well, what about Kyle McCord? Because finally we're starting a new quarterback here. And look at the way C.J. Stroud's already playing with the Texans. I mean, for goodness sake, he's blowing the roof off. Kyle McCord, I thought showed a lot of poise in his ability to come back and lead that game-winning drive at Notre Dame. Look, if that ball is intercepted at the very end, we're having a little bit different conversation, but still, he put his team in a chance to win, and they're undefeated now. What you have to do is you have to take care of business here against a Maryland team who's clearly not as good on defense as the Buckeyes are, but don't sleep on this Maryland offense, man. They can put up a lot of points, and I think they will put up some points. So the Buckeyes need to just keep doing what they're doing. Take care of business every single week, 1 week at a time. You're going to host a Penn State team as well, and we're going to find out a lot of information there. And then obviously at the end of the season, we'll get to the Michigan game up there in Ann Arbor in the Big House. Can't wait for that one. But yes, of course they're elite on offense. They should be. They have all the skill set to be elite on offense. But we've seen them the last couple years not make the Big Ten championship game because they lost to Michigan, right? Even in years where they were elite. And this is, I've been telling Michigan's been on the flip side of this. There have been some good Michigan teams that can't go win the Big Ten because they can't win the division because they can't beat the Buckeyes.
Yeah.
Well, for the last 2 seasons, they've been on the other end of that. So I think we're in for another good one and possibly even an undefeated matchup there in November. But both teams have a lot of business to take care of before we get to that.
David, the Ohio State machine of really every position, but offensive firepower that you referenced, it's been rolling out. I wonder through the years, I think you're a little younger than this player I'm going to ask you about, but I loved him as a player. I don't know what he's doing now. I think he went to medical school. But anyway, did you ever know Craig Krenzel? And he may be the last functionary. Just get the right play called. Don't mess anything up. National championship quarterback ever. You can't win it like that anymore. You can't win it with Craig Krenzel anymore.
No, I didn't know. I didn't know Craig Krenzel. But yeah, I think you're exactly right. Like those types of quarterbacks, like the game, especially as more and more rule changes happen, almost always that benefit the offense, even if they're done with safety in mind. They benefit the offense. People want to see points. They want to keep players healthy, all that kind of stuff. Then the more it lends itself to you really have to have a dynamic playmaker at quarterback. And we've seen this not only at the college level but in the NFL the last couple of years, right? Like the Trent Dilfers of the world aren't really winning Super Bowls anymore by being able to
Jeff
have
Hostetler. He's not winning.
You know what I mean? Like it's not a kind of game, but the game is secular, right? So you never know what. Like Georgia, the last 2 years has proven that defense can still win championships first. Now these last 2 years, Georgia has still been really, really good on offense, right? But they've proven that, hey, we're not going to be out here throwing the ball 50 times a game because we're going to still put stock in our front seven, our front four. We're going to get after the passer. We're going to play good defense. So, you never know. I mean, people may look back in a couple years and say, well, the Stetson Bennett types can't win national championships anymore, right? I mean, certainly you would look at Stetson Bennett and say, out of all those good Georgia quarterbacks they had, Matt Stafford and DJ Shockley and Aaron Murray, it was Stetson Bennett who went back-to-back and won championships. But, when you go break down the film, the kid was a playmaker, and he made plays. So I don't know if we'll see the Craig Krenzel types or even like the Ken Dorsey types from Miami back in the day winning national championships, but with an ability, especially with the transfer portal, to flip these rosters and get a group of guys in, if they're well coached and they respond to coaching and they develop, you never know.
Last thing for our friend David Cohn from Crane & Company. He co-hosts that show. You hear Jake on with John Harden every week. We're so honored to have David with us as a staple at 4 o'clock on Wednesdays through the College Football National Championship. What was the first thing that grabbed you about the Ole Miss LSU game? I'll give you mine. As soon as I looked at the stat sheet Saturday night, I mean, it was still warm from the copying machine. I saw 88 plays for Ole Miss, 0 turnovers for Jackson Dart. What'd you see?
Man, isn't that something? I mean, we've been talking about how, he has a tendency, especially in big moments, to put the football in harm's way. And to get into a shootout with Jaden Daniels and Jackson Dart didn't turn the football over, that's incredible. I was surprised at LSU's defense once again, right? I mean, I sat there in the second half of that game against Florida State, and I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I couldn't believe Florida State came out at halftime and said, you know what? We're just going to come out and out-physical y'all. We're just going to absolutely beat y'all to sleep, and that's what they did against LSU. And then I thought, okay, well, this is a Brian Kelly-led team. We're going to see a reset here, kind of like we did last year, and, still circle that game on the road at Tuscaloosa, and, we'll get on with our season. But to see them get into a shootout with Ole Miss, which shouldn't be too surprising. Like, look, Lane Kiffin is one of the greatest offensive minds in the game, but we were just coming off of a week where he couldn't do anything against Nick Saban in Alabama. So to come off that sort of poor performance, then against LSU, to really just light them up, I don't know. I'm really disappointed in LSU's defense right now. I don't know where the physicality is. I don't know when is Harold Perkins Jr. going to show up and say, hey, I'm still one of the best football players in the country? What about Mason Smith? Where are these guys? I do expect them to bounce back, and they're going to have a tall one against Missouri. One of those teams is 5-0, and it's not LSU, which is fun and it's surprising. But that's what stood out for me. Now, the question is, how will this SEC West start to solidify itself? It's really starting to smell like this game in College Station this week with Texas A&M and Alabama. The winner of that is going to have a front row seat and really take the reins. But LSU, despite the 2 losses, only one of them is in conference, right? So they're still very much in the mix. And the team they lost to, this Ole Miss team, already has a loss at Alabama. And a lot of these teams still have to play Tennessee across divisions. I think Ole Miss still goes to Georgia. So I don't know. It's really starting to shape up here. But that's how I feel about LSU's defense.
Well, I feel like I say it every week, but I mean, there are a ton of intriguing games this weekend in college football. You just mentioned a couple of them in the SEC. But, David, thanks so much for joining us, and we'll do it again next Wednesday.
Thank you guys so much for having me. It's an honor.
Thanks, David.
Thank you, David. It is an honor to have you, and you bring it, and he does bring it, and he's got good stuff for sure. Yeah, I wasn't taking a shot at Craig Krenzel. He just wasn't. He wasn't the focus, and David was right to mention just 2 years prior to that was Ken Dorsey and that galaxy of stars for Miami, and you just drive the car in the right lane, 60 miles per hour with the left blinker on.
Yeah.
Don't try anything too exciting. You can't get by with that now, Brian.
No.
You've got to have magic, man.
Yep.
And sometimes that's not enough. You look at Jaden Daniels' numbers from Saturday night, and how'd you lose?
Well, I mean, it's the same thing with Will Rogers the week before against South Carolina. I mean, just almost threw for 500 yards, and you lose that game. So you're absolutely right. I mean, these quarterbacks, we're seeing domination from them and still coming up with losses. It's incredible.
It's why I think Ole Miss and Arkansas will be closer than the experts are saying, closer than that point spread for a lot of different reasons. Yeah. I don't think Arkansas is bad. They've been unfortunate. They've had some bad luck. I don't think they're a bad team. And K.J. Jefferson back not far from his hometown.
Yep.
I remember what he did 2 years ago last year, and he kind of saved the season having to miss the Liberty game last year and get well literally and figuratively against Ole Miss on the field last year. So everybody slow down on writing off Sam Pittman.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, you brought up that game from 2 years ago, and that was kind of the storyline. K.J. Jefferson right by his hometown, close to home, and that game was unbelievable. And going down the stretch, how close it was, how back and forth that game was.
It was wilder than LSU.
It really was, now that I think about it. You're right. So I would love to see another wild one. I know probably you and a lot of other people that will be at that game probably don't want another heart attack after experiencing that LSU game last week, but I wouldn't mind watching a game like that.
I take my pregame crazy pills.
Well, you've needed them, and you're probably going to need them this week.
I don't take one thing.
No, absolutely not. But let's go ahead and get to a break. When we come back, we're going to pull out the grade books after 1 month into the college football season. We're going to give some grades for a lot of the teams around the area, and we want to hear your grades for your team. Text those in 901-360-8255, and we'll get to those on the other side. That's next on Sports Time.
You already know you can listen to Sports 56 anywhere with the Sports 56 app or at sports56whbq.com. But you can also watch us daily with live video of all of our shows on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch.
Wow, I feel good shopping at DriveMax. DriveMax, you get value.
Need a car that screams I feel good? DriveMax has it all. From cars to SUVs, find a tightly inspected used car that'll have you dancing all the way home. Call 901-664-2424 or visit DriveMaxApproval.com.
DriveMax, I got approved. 5-Ash Roofing, it's what we do. Roofing and siding, gutters too. We're the pros you can trust to get it done right. Call on us. 5-Ash Roofing, the name to know. 5-Ash Roofing, the only way to go. 5-Ash Roofing, it's what we do. 5-Ash Roofing.
Is that not the corniest thing you've ever heard? Can you believe I paid good money for that silly jingle? Well, the experts say make it memorable, and I think I got my money's worth. 5-Ash Roof Services, proud partner of the Memphis Tigers and the official roofer of the Tigers home team. 5-Ash Roofing, 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Five Ash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you. O'Reilly.
O'Reilly Auto Parts' new Brake Best Select Pro brand raises the bar for the best aftermarket domestic brake pads and rotors available. For vehicle-specific friction formulations, QuietTech noise-canceling shims, and stainless steel hardware, choose Brake Best Select Pro. Professional-grade brakes from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Step up your wings game at East Coast Wings and Grill. With 60 wing flavors and 7 heat indexes, do you have what it takes to turn the heat on your wings up to insanity? East Coast Wings and Grill is family friendly with a large variety menu to satisfy the whole bunch. Sign up today for their loyalty program and taste the rewards. For every $1 you spend, you collect a point. Earn 100 points and receive a $5 reward. Next to Lowe's off Highway 64 in Bartlett, come try America's best wings at East Coast Wings and Grill.
Did you know nearly 40% of men under 40 and over 75% of men over the age of 40 experience sexual performance concerns? At the Memphis Men's Clinic, their experienced physician performs a comprehensive evaluation that determines which specific issues may interfere with your sexual performance. These issues can vary and range from anxiety to medical issues, low testosterone, or erectile dysfunction. The Memphis Men's Clinic has evaluated hundreds of men of all ages over the years and reestablished a normal sexual life. The Memphis Men's Clinic will work aggressively to resolve issues and allow you to restore your sexual health and overall well-being. That's the Memphis way. If you're 20 years old or 90 years old, come and get cared for the Memphis way. Treatment that's based on your specific needs after a professional clinical evaluation by their experienced board-certified physician. Call the Memphis Men's Clinic today at 901-443-0475 or visit memphismensclinic.com.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. Traffic's picked up even more just in the last few minutes in the construction on 55 north and southbound between Macklemore, South Parkway, 240 south, starting a little bit heavy as we stare at it live here coming past Union down to Norris, 240 on to 385. Still looks good right now, headed out towards Collierville. A Weimer's Jewelry located 7525 Highway 64. They want you to know they are your full-service family-owned jewelry store right here in Memphis. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you in our Family Leisure Studios, and we got to get to some grading. A month into the season, get the grade books out. We want to hear your grades of the teams we're talking about or your team. Text us in your grades after a month. Text in 901-360-8255. But Brett, where do you want to start?
And we're going to go flat letter grade. We're not going to hide behind the plus minus stuff, and we know you do. Look at almost every major university. There's no minuses and pluses handed out. When you get that grade point, if you took a 3-hour class, you multiply it by 4 for A, 3 for a B. Well, I never started that high. I would work them down all the way down, and that's how we're doing. For the month of September. We're not trying to forecast the rest of the year. We're just grading on what we've seen. We'll start locally. We'll start with the Razorbacks. Their record says 2-3. I say the tests have been extremely difficult. There's no way I could give them an F. There's no way, because you don't get that close to winning at LSU. You don't get that close to defeating A&M. That was just a 12-point game. That was no blowout. I would give Arkansas a C for what they've done so far this year. The 2 wins, they weren't anything special, but the 3 teams they've lost to, a lot of teams would lose to those. It's been a stern test, very difficult test, almost like med school entrance exam. I give the Razorbacks a gentleman C.
Yeah, I'm going to give them a C as well. I mean, I think you said it. Obviously, you win those first 2 games. Really, no tests there, and since then, it's kind of been a struggle for them. But I think, like you said, very tough opponents. I mean, these are not cakewalks that some of these other teams have seen. Also, Rocket Sanders has been out for most of this time, and I think you got to factor that in there. And so, I'll give them a C.
When I say gentleman C, what I mean by it, this has not been the student that's the Eddie Haskell that sits on the front row then tries to brown nose the teacher.
Right.
It hadn't been. It's been the one working and doing, and it just it just hadn't it hadn't been A or B work. Yeah. So I give it a C. Hometown Tigers, the Memphis Tigers. Bryant, you first.
Yeah, I mean, I think you got to give them an A. I mean, I think
for sure
this is what we thought we would see, or at least hope we would see after Week 5. I think, and seeing the fight in this team, I think is what really gives you. I think I could. If someone said I'd give them a B, I would say, okay, but this fight I've seen, I've talked about it a couple of times now since that Boise State win, coming back from 17-0, staying in that game against Missouri, the week before against Navy, winning that game. And so I love this fight from this team. I think you've won every single game that you're supposed to win. That Missouri game, I think most people thought it was probably going to be a loss, and you were extremely competitive in it. So I'm going to give the Tigers an A with a big one coming up in 2 weeks.
I'm with you, and your explanation is great. And the position grouping, you can look at the improvement in the offensive line. Imagine that. Improved offensive line, improved run game. Improved run game, imagine that. Improved passing game. It's all perfect in the flow chart. Defense, good enough. Special teams, pretty good. And to win 2 close games against Navy and Boise that I fear I know because I saw last year. I'm afraid they would have dropped both of those last year. Tennessee, I give Tennessee the most favorable friendly B, and I mean very friendly. And they're the team that I call in after say that first 6 weeks and go, you got to B, you got to get it in gear to get another one next time the grades get handed out.
Yeah. Give me the team again. I missed
Tennessee.
The team on Tennessee. Oh gosh, I didn't want to get to Tennessee. I'm gonna give them a C. You get a C, Tennessee.
Fair.
And I think you should be happy to get a C. I think that loss to Florida does you a lot. Even though you're 4-1, I just haven't seen a ton. I think I saw more from that South Carolina game. Because like I said on Monday, I think a lot of people thought at the very least South Carolina was going to cover that game, and they didn't. Tennessee handled business, but I really need to see a lot more from this offense. This high-powered offense we were told about. This Joe Milton's going to throw it all over the field, throw it 80 yards down the field every play.
We don't trust them.
I don't trust them, so I'm going to give them a C. I need to see a lot more, even though they have that 4-1 beside them.
It's this. You give a C, I give a B. It's the perfect example of, Brian, if you sign up for the fall semester for college algebra and you get that little more favorable teacher that on campus people know about, and you tell them, hey, you better take it in the fall when you know you can get it from him.
I'm a tough
and then
grader.
you get Dr. Dacus in the springtime,
and
you get the C. Mississippi State.
Mississippi State. Another C. I mean, I don't think I can give them a D, but I just, again, haven't been impressed. I thought I didn't really know what to expect, so I'll give them a C, kind of just right there middle of the road.
I think I'm going to go C as well because right now on my preseason pick sheet, it's solid yellow for correct picks, red X for incorrect pick. So State's right where I thought they would be. So why should you kind of move the goalpost on if they're where you thought they should be? Why change it? Now for the rest of the year, I got State finishing the season 6-6, but I don't know about that. The next time we hand out grades, it could be far, far different than that. Hugh Freeze in his first year at Auburn. His first month at Auburn.
Yikes. I feel like I'm giving everybody a C. gonna give them a C. I mean, I don't know really what I expected. B. Really, I mean, I was thinking about maybe a B, but UMass, Cal, and Samford, I think you were gonna win those games, but just in these last two, I'll give them the Georgia keeping it close. But I haven't seen a ton, even in keeping it close with Georgia. I didn't see a ton from that offense, kind of moving the ball down the field. It was a lot of quarterback runs, running the ball.
My solid yellow for Auburn.
Yeah,
they're right where I thought they. So okay, they've kind of met the bar of expectations.
Mm-hmm.
Alabama.
Ooh,
Mighty Alabama. Look, this is high school valedictorian. First 3 years in college, they've got a 4-point every semester, and now in your class, they're kind of limping around. What do you give them?
I got a D. I'm giving Alabama a D, Brett. I don't know what's going on.
Johnny, don't sign up for a class from Brian.
I'm giving Alabama a D. Well, and I'm a terrible teacher because I start giving everybody C's, and I go, what am I giving everybody C's
not
for?
This tough.
I'm giving them a D. No, my mom is I think she's a very good grader in terms of giving people better grades than they might deserve.
I bet her answer would be, you get what you earn.
Hey, no, that will be her. That is definitely her answer.
It's like the scoreboard. It's like a record. You are who you are. I'm going to give Bama a C.
I mean, that's not far from a D, Brett.
Because of that they're that student that you expect almost perfect work for, and it just hadn't been so far. All right, if we give Bama a C and you give them a D, LSU.
LSU gets a B from me.
LSU gets an F.
Really?
I got 2 big red X's.
I mean, yeah, but LSU. They lost.
Jaden Daniels gets an A.
I think Jaden Daniels gets an A. I mean, even though in the loss, Brett, though, against Ole Miss, we just said that, they very well could have won that game, and I think a lot of LSU fans that look at that box score said, how did we not win this game? So maybe that's a good...
I think Brian Kelly admitted this week that it's an F when he brings in 82-year-old Mitch McConnell. I'm sorry, Pete Jenkins, in to be the defensive coordinator or D-line coach.
Brett, what I'm finding out about myself as a teacher, I show favoritism. There are students that I like more than others.
Johnny, I hope we're a teacher's pet of Dr. Davis. My goodness, never sign up for a class for you. Okay, they're solid yellow across. They have very, very high standards. They are 5-0, the Georgia Bulldogs.
B.
It really is, isn't it?
I'm giving them a B, Brett.
So my whole solid yellow, red X thing just went out. It makes no sense.
It doesn't. I'm giving them a B, Brett.
It is a B. Now, it's a high-level B. It's a B that you're close.
I want to give you a B to try to whip you back into shape so that you'll get back to that A+ work that you've been showing.
Texas Aggies.
Probably a B. That only loss against Miami, I think, is paying off.
D.
Really? That defense, Brett. Oh, man, I can't talk bad about that defense. I love watching that defense play.
D for A&M. I can't get the Miami game out of my head.
That's true. But, once you kind of wash that one off your hands, they play better football.
Good chance to go through the car wash this Saturday at Kyle Field against Bama.
You're absolutely right. But
grab one or two nationally. Just one or two out of in your head. Who you thinking of?
Washington. You get an A. You're one of my star students, Washington.
A. USC A. Pac-12 A.
Pac-12
here you go.
Certainly gets an A.
Here you go. SEC as a league.
C?
It is.
I rattled off a ton of C's. Probably could have given more C's if I really wanted to. So yeah, I'll give them a C. Here's one for you, Clemson.
F.
Really? I'd probably say D.
When you come down from those lofty heights, I've been bringing home A's every time. This is almost when you take the keys away.
Yeah. Well, and also I think
you limit screen time.
Yeah, I think another
Can't
one.
imagine my parents. We're going to limit your screen time.
You gotta give me your phone at this time or whatever. But it's for Clemson. I mean, it almost seemed like they were putting all the blame on DJU last year, and it seemed like once he transferred away, they were able to say, look, I mean, he was the problem. Now, we're going to be much better on offense this year, and they just haven't shown that. So, I'm going to have to give him a D.
This one's easy because we love it, and I don't know that I would ever at the end of September, ever in my life, anything but this. But the enterprise of college football, it's an A. And it shows how we're doing our best to run it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we are trying. Well, I mean, we're working overtime to run it. People that claim to love it working overtime to run it. So far, we haven't been able to.
No, and everybody says it's going to be ruined. This is going to ruin it. That's going to ruin it. Just wait till they do this, and that's going to ruin it. And it's better than it's ever been. I mean, this season has been unbelievable.
Here's one of my favorite all-time. It's going to ruin it.
Okay.
When you let them have games on from 11 o'clock in the morning to 11 at night, it's going to ruin it. We've got to keep where it's just one national game kind of at 3 and one regional game kind of at 11, and then we go watch Mannix and the Carol Burnett show on Saturday night.
And I'm sitting there arguing.
How stupid
we need to spread that out more. Let me get games that are ending at 1 o'clock in the morning, and that would be even more ideal. But
Brian, I promise you that Landmark, I think it was Georgia and Oklahoma suing and then coming up with the College Football Association and the NCAA balking at that and saying, oh, no, if we start having these games all over the place all day and all night, nobody will go to these stadiums and interest will decline. You can count on it, the NCAA. If they say up, it was down.
Yep. Oh, absolutely. Well, we did get a couple text messages that I want to point out. One texter, Memphis is a B, Tennessee a D, only because of that loss to Florida is unacceptable. And then we got another text message. I loved this one. And I texted him back and said, I love that. He said, Tigers have only taken pop quizzes, no exam yet. See me after the 13th. I love that. I mean, anytime that you can make a school reference for these grading segments, I don't care what you have to say. That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
That's more clever than anything we came up with.
Absolutely. So that text of the day. I mean, I don't know what happened on these airwaves earlier today. Text of the day right there.
Now to the Tennessee text. Read that one. Read that he said. It was a D, and Memphis is a B.
So
read it again in toto.
Memphis equals B, Tennessee equals D, only because of that loss to Florida is unacceptable.
All right. Go back to when you were in school, and you have that one really bad test-taking day. You weren't prepared. You blew it. You swung and missed, but you also got it back on easier exams. I mean, really easy, like Virginia, Austin Peay, Texas, San Antonio, and South Carolina.
Yeah, but when's Tennessee's next big exam like that we can see if they can pass it
They have 3 straight. Open date this week, then on the road. At home in Knoxville against A&M, at Bryant-Denny, and on the road at Kentucky.
Okay, so we'll have some more
we'll
exams
do grades
pop
at the end
up.
When October's in the books.
Yeah, and we'll get a better kind of sample size of what we should expect from Tennessee. But let's go ahead and get to a break. When we come back, it'll be time for Big Number of the Day.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
When building the 2023 RDX, we decided to raise our standards. That means a 272 horsepower VTEC turbo engine, standard. Acura Watch advanced safety and driver assistance technology. Yep, standard. Alexa built in, also standard. The 2023 RDX, raise your standards. Acura, precision crafted performance.
Visit Acura of Memphis to learn more about the Acura RDX. Bartlett Small Engine has been serving quality power equipment since 1970. They have a full line of power equipment, parts, and services for most makes and models. Bartlett Small Engines has the best brands in the power tool industry, and they're all American made. Bartlett Small Engine is your can-do store. 6780 Summer Avenue. Call 901-386-9779.
Bartlett Small Engine has free pickup and delivery both at your home and curbside for lawnmowers, blowers, edgers, and any small engine. Call 901-386-9779.
Chris Price here with Metro Builders. Is your roof leaking? Do you have mold stains on the ceiling of your home or business? Is your carrier denying your claim or offering a repair because they just don't have enough documentation? You need a contractor that performs work for insurance carriers each and every day, and Metro Builders is here to assist. This is why you call Metro Builders. At Metro Builders, we provide free estimates and consultation and love to assist homeowners with their claims. Metro Builders' process of arriving, inspecting, and diagnosing problems is second to none. Our team of Hague-certified technicians are standing by to assist you with providing estimates and photos to your carrier to document your loss. And the best part of all you owe is what your policy states. No large fees on top of the final scope. We use high-grade materials and are certified by companies like Atlas, CertainTeed, Owens Corning, and even Mulehide. We offer best-in-class warranties on all of our jobs, up to 50 years. When it comes to roofs and restoration, call Metro Builders to schedule your free inspection. Call me. 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717.
You or someone you know or care about has dealt with a difficult divorce. When facing divorce, you need the attorneys at Rice Law. Nick and Larry Rice lead the firm with 3 generations and 7 decades of experience. Located in Memphis, serving the entire state of Tennessee and North Mississippi. Rice Law is who you need to call. Simple or difficult divorce, they know how to handle it. Call Rice Law at 901-526-6701, or for more information, visit them at aboutdivorce.com. That's aboutdivorce.com.
I'm with John Vergos from the world-famous Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948.
Brett, we have catered parties all over this country and all over the world, from Singapore, Australia to Central Park in New York, but many people don't realize how much we do locally. For holiday events, office parties, tailgating, birthday parties, you can't do better than the Rendezvous. For example, you can get a cheese and sausage tray for 15 to 300 people for $3.75 a person. You can even build your own nacho bar for $10.50 per person. All you need is a minimum of 15 people. In many cases, we can arrange delivery and full-service catering. We've even made it easy to get to-go items. You can just park at our front door in the alley, put on your flashes, and we'll get you going ASAP. For all your catering items and prices, go to hogsfly.com, click on menu, and drop down to catering.
Thank you, John. The Rendezvous, Mr. Charlie Vergos' Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948 and celebrating its 75th year.
We interrupt this broadcast for special news and information concerning family leisure.
The world's biggest spa sale is back and bigger than ever at Family Leisure. How is that possible? Well, let me tell you. You start off with 50 different spa models to choose from 5 different manufacturers. Then you throw in up to 30% off in-stock spas and swim spas. But is that all? Oh, no. You get free upgrades on all in-stock spas, plus 24 months, same as cash. Wow! This is the kind of sale that you just can't have every day. But it's happening right now at Family Leisure, the world's biggest spa sale. Soak in the savings right now at Family Leisure, Witten Road and I-40. You know the place where family and fun come together.
Please remain calm and walk. Don't run to Family Leisure. And now back to your regular programming.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Big Daddy.
Hello, Big Brand. It's a guy, he wants to be big, then he gets big, he doesn't want to be big anymore, then he gets small, but the suit's too big.
Big Daddy.
The big boy.
You're a big guy. I think she's trying to pull a fast one on Big Daddy.
The big number of the day.
Well, Brett, I have 2 big numbers today, but they go hand in hand with each other. My first big number is 19,704. My second big number is 1. So I'll go with both of these. Both of these have to do with the Tampa Bay Rays. 19,704 was the listed attendance last night for their first game of the wild card, which was the lowest attendance in a postseason game, excluding the COVID-19 year, since 1919. The one, you might ask, well, what is the one for? That's how many runs the Rays scored over a 2-day span in this wild card against the Rangers. And that game has gone final since we last talked about it. Rangers with a 7-1 win over the Rays, sweeping the Rays in the wild card series and sending the Rays that everybody, I think tons of people were loading up earlier in the season on this team winning or at least appearing in the World Series.
Remember that start?
And that start was unbelievable. And now to only put up one run in the wild card and be out after 2 games is insane.
Win 99 games and be out at 4:45 on the 4th of October. That is rough stuff. It is too cruel. And a Sportstime big number first. Ding, 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 ding. Same one. 19,704.
I love it.
That crowd for Rays in Texas yesterday, and that's going to stay with them almost as much as the early exit. And it's too bad. It's too bad for the ones that go. Again, on any attendance, we're not knocking the people that go.
No.
We need more of you.
Yeah. We're knocking the people that aren't there.
We're knocking the ones that aren't there, and it goes back to 1919. Shoeless Joe throwing a World Series and a 7 out of 9 series for the Southsiders. Say it ain't so, Joe. Say it ain't so, St. Pete. And it's when we talked about it when the story broke in that stadium funding deal, a lot of that's the owner's money. It's a lot of public monies in that. In it as well. We know that's always going to be part of it. Very, very, very seldom. And for as much as he's despised, Kroenke did cut that whole big old check.
Mm-hmm. Sure did.
Out in Los Angeles. But why are they going back to St. Pete? If they can't get there or won't get there now, why is the fancy retractable roof, about 28 to 30,000 capacity is all it's going to be for the new stadium, over $1 billion. Why are they going to go then? And can they keep this magic up of turning out these kind of people don't know them ragamuffin rosters every year that win 99 games?
Yeah. Well, now tell me this.
What if they were bad?
Really? Well, I mean, remember when they were bad. I mean, it wasn't that long ago that they were bad. But I don't know how much you were able to watch of this game today. I don't know if you had it on in the background or not. But they showed a bridge when they were coming back from a commercial break. Is that the famed bridge that everybody talks about?
I don't know the area that well. I've been a couple of times and been to that building, the dome for Memphis Pharaohs Arena football playoffs.
No way.
August of 1995 against the Tampa Bay Storm.
Oh, Brett, that's beautiful. Oh, man, that's great.
And this morning had Ron Higgins on with Dave. He joins Dave every week and visits with Ron. Ron and I were seatmates on the flight. He was covering it for the commercial appeal.
Oh, that's great. That is great. But this bridge they showed earlier today coming back from a break, I was looking at it and I was like, I hope this is not the bridge that everyone talks so bad about, because it just looks like a normal bridge. I mean, unless everybody in Tampa, St. Pete is just afraid of driving on bridges. I mean, I don't understand what's wrong with this bridge.
It's a real sore subject with TJ. I hate to get on the attendance subject with him because he's so kind with his time for this radio station. But of the two, I know Tampa better than St. Pete.
Right.
And I don't know it that well. I know Charlie's Steakhouse in Tampa is one of the great steakhouses in the country.
Well, I mean, it's just like you said. I mean, it's ridiculous that we're going to build this beautiful, fancy, state-of-the-art stadium, and you've just been named the lowest attendance in postseason history since 1919. That's
it may not hang with them as long as 1919 hung with Shoeless Joe. But 19704 is something.
I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, for a wild card game, for a team that has been so good this year to draw that little, I don't care if it's a 3:00 game or not. That is, I mean, there's just no way to defend that. But that'll do it for our second hour. Let's go ahead and get to a break. When we come back, we're going to talk some SEC football. We'll also get into some Houston Astros talk with Chris Gordy. That's next.
Jenkins Floors and More in Hernando is growing. This family business started up 5 years ago with just one pallet, and now they have hundreds. Tim, the owner, gets calls from people everywhere and can sometimes save them up to 50% on wood flooring, carpet, tile, and vinyl. Jenkins Floors and More helps with renovations, home building, and installation. Jenkins Floors and More, number 6 East Commerce Street in Hernando. Also in Little Rock and coming soon to Tennessee. Call 662-469-9350 for more information.
The truly brilliant all-electric EQE SUV from Mercedes-Benz features some of the smartest tech ever to grace four wheels. With Dynamic Select, you can fine-tune hundreds of vehicle settings to precisely match your driving style and in available off-road mode. Transparent hood lets you see through sheet metal to steer clear of bumps and potholes directly beneath you. A 360-degree array of cameras and sensors constantly alert you for danger, while 64 color ambient lighting lets you fully customize the ambience inside the spacious cabin. The EQE SUV is so smart, even the headlamps are thinking. Optional digital light technology projects navigation markings and warnings onto the road ahead as you drive. The vehicle's all electric. The feeling is all Mercedes. Test drive the EQE SUV today at your local dealer or learn more at mbusa.com/EQE-SUV.
It doesn't matter if you're at the lake, if you're hunting, fishing, playing golf, or just playing around, Scooters Plus can hook you up with the mobility that you need. Scooters Plus has the largest vehicle and parts inventory in the Mid-South and the best service department. You can choose from ATVs, UTVs, golf carts, motorcycles, dirt bikes, trikes, scooters, and even electric bikes. Come in today to start or wrap up your holiday shopping with 25% down on Christmas layaways. Scooters Plus, 3425 Summer Avenue. Call Sam at 458-8843 or go online to scootersplus.us.
This season, your coffee orders are getting warmer, and your outfits are getting cozier. The world keeps changing, and so does COVID-19. That's why this season's COVID-19 shots have been updated. They're one of the best ways to help protect yourself against COVID-19. You can get a COVID-19 shot at the same visit as a flu shot if you're due for both, as recommended by the CDC. Talk to your healthcare provider to learn more and schedule at vaccines.gov. And don't forget to get extra cinnamon spice. Sponsored by Pfizer and BioNTech.
Wow, I feel good. Shopping at Drive Max. Drive Max. Drive Max. You get value.
Need a car that screams I feel good? Drive Max has it all. From cars to SUVs, find a tightly inspected used car that'll have you dancing all the way home. Call 901-664-2424 or visit DriveMaxApproval.com.
Drive Max. I got approved.
Ole Miss Rebel Yell is back. The Rebel Yell Hotline Radio Show is back on WHBQ Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Every Monday night at 6, hear the latest news on your Ole Miss Rebels with Yancey Porter with 24/7 Sports, former Ole Miss defensive tackle Mike Fitzsimmons, Gordon Ford covering SEC Sports Call, and former Ole Miss baseball announcer Gary Darby. From kickoff to free throw to extra innings, your Ole Miss Sports on the Rebel Yell Hotline Show right here Monday night at 6 on Sports 56, 560 AM and 98.5 FM. Your Mid-South Sports Station.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. It's really starting to load up now in that construction zone, right on schedule. This time of the afternoon, 55 northbound between Macklemore South Parkway. It's busy, no surprise. On 240 East coming past Perkins, getting on to 385. Starting to bunch up a little bit south of Memphis on 55 South as you head down through South Haven. Hey, don't miss it this year. I'm talking about Smoky Mountain Fall Festival going on right now to the end of the month at Ober-Gatlinburg. You can find out all the details at obergatlinburg.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Hewlett & Dunn, Boot and Jean Company in Collierville. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you and joining us now. Talk some SEC football, also about the Houston Astros. Chris Gordy from the Locked On SEC podcast, also from Sports Talk 790. Chris joins us now. Chris, thanks so much for joining us. We went through some grades earlier in our last hour for these college football teams, a lot of SEC teams. But for the SEC, through 5 weeks, what kind of grade would you give the conference?
Look, they've struggled in a lot of the non-conference games, and I think a couple of the teams that we thought could be factors this year, like LSU, obviously underachieved. That loss at Ole Miss last week was super disappointing, but Georgia's still undefeated, even though they haven't looked pretty, and big test for Alabama this week. But if they find a way to go to College Station and win, they may be in the driver's seat for the SEC West again. So look, it hasn't been up to par what we expected, but it's not as bad, I think, as people have been trying to make it out to be.
If Alabama were to lose in College Station for the second consecutive time in College Station to Jimbo Fisher, the unthinkable, Bama and LSU both by bedtime October 7th eliminated from the playoff and national championship picture. Not eliminated from the SEC West, though, Chris.
Yeah, no doubt. But what it would do is if that, if Bama loses this weekend, you're talking about A&M and Ole Miss in a couple of weeks could decide the SEC West. So, that would be an interesting one. But nonetheless, you're right. I mean, the two teams we thought were going to be the cream of the crop. Give a hat tip to Jimbo Fisher, man. All the talk of his buyout and, oh my God, what's he doing hiring Bobby Petrino? Has anybody even said the name Bobby Petrino this season? It's worked out well so far. And the defense has been lights out. All those 4- and 5-star kids they've recruited, they've been playing their butts off the last couple of weeks. And I don't know, they got like 8 dudes named Shamar on that defense, and they're all vicious. They all get sacked. So, I think Jimbo Fisher deserves a lot of credit because, look, these are two teams that parallel each other a lot. You look at Alabama and A&M. They both had their hiccup earlier in the year where A&M played their worst game against Miami in a loss. Bama played their worst game against Texas in a loss. But really, outside of that, the defenses have been suffocating in every other game they've played this year. They're about equal in rushing the ball. I think sacks, A&M has 20, Bama has 17. So they mirror each other a lot. And, it's yet another Saban coaching assistant with a chance to get another win when, my gosh, for the longest there, it felt like no former Saban assistant could slay the Giant.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you mentioned Georgia still being undefeated, but we've seen a lot of slow starts for this team through 5 weeks. Last week, down double digits against Auburn. A couple weeks ago, same thing against South Carolina, down early and then fighting back late. What do you make of these slow starts for Georgia, and do you think it could come back to bite them later in the season in SEC play?
It could, but I mean, look, this is like the NCAA tournament. Survive in advance, right? I mean, if you're Georgia, we knew the schedule was not going to be a good one. It was going to take a lot of motivation on Kirby's part to get these guys fired up to go play teams week in and week out. When you're double-digit touchdowns double touchdowns against a favorite every week against some of these opponents, it's hard to get up for them every week.
That's a good point.
And the other thing is Georgia's been banged up. I mean, they have had a ridiculous amount of injuries through the first couple of weeks. They finally got Javon Bullard back this week. Ladd McConkey hadn't played all season. He finally got in there this week. And then the super freak that is Brock Bowers has decided to go off in a back-to-back 100-yard receiving game. So, I think Georgia's going to come into form. Not to say Kentucky doesn't have a chance this week. Auburn ran the ball, for over 200 yards on Georgia. That was the first time we've seen that in a while. And Kentucky and Ray Davis, Ray Davis is like the best-kept secret in the SEC. He was a top 5 rusher in the conference a year ago, and nobody even knew his name. Now that he's at Kentucky, he's getting a little bit more attention and focus. And Mark Stoops did a good job of rebuilding that offensive line, the big blue wall for Kentucky. And it's going to be real interesting to see this week when they go into Athens. If Kentucky can run the ball a little bit, not as much like they did a week ago, but if they can run the ball and keep moving the chains on Georgia, man, this thing gets really interesting this weekend.
Chris, what would it have looked like if we had put Jaden Daniels on that 2019 LSU team and Joe Burrow on the 2023 LSU team?
Well, look, Burrow is in a class of his own. Nobody is ever going to repeat or do what he did. I mean, the fact that I had my fantasy football draft a couple of weeks ago, and when I got logged into Yahoo, I saw the top 2 available players were Justin Jefferson 1 and Jamar Chase 2. I said, well, that tells you all you need to know about the 2019 LSU team and what Joe Burrow was working with. So they're almost in a class of their own. But to your point, like Jaden Daniels, the big talking point this whole week has been how bad LSU's defense is, and I'm going, guys, did we talk about how awesome LSU's offense is? Like 4th in the country in yards per game. Like Les Miles is having a seizure just like thinking about that. He was used to the games a decade ago where, you win 17-13 and Jordan Jefferson would throw for 90 yards. Like he could never imagine having a quarterback with this kind of output at LSU. So, yeah, look, it's frustrating. I felt awful for Jaden the other night in Oxford because he did everything he could to win that game. He deserved to win that game. It's just disappointing that LSU defense is playing as bad as they are right now. But, had they had a couple more wins, we'd be talking about Jaden Daniels as a front runner for the Heisman right now. But instead, he's barely getting talked about because his defense stinks so bad.
Chris, in the last 16 years working for Ole Miss, leaving the stadium, 4 quarterbacks, I leave just shaking my head going, man, that performance, can you believe this? That was something like I've never seen before. 4, Johnny in 2012 won a Heisman. Joe Burrow, 2019, won a Heisman. Cam Newton, 2010, won a Heisman, and last Saturday with Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, isn't it crazy? I mean, even more reason why Matt House, if he has a bad showing against Missouri this weekend, I think come Monday morning, Matt House is no longer LSU's DC. So, look, it's bad. And Brian Kelly gets it. I mean, he said, we came to LSU. This is not what we expected to play like. And it's mind-boggling to everybody. I mean, you got Mason Smith, you got Mekhi Wingo, you got Harold Perkins Jr., you got all these studs, and yet nobody looked like they had any interest in making a tackle last week against Ole Miss. So they got to do some soul searching. Somebody brought up to me LSU was in the same spot a year ago. Remember, they lost to Florida State in the opener, and then around this time a year ago they got beat down by Tennessee in their house, and then they were able to regroup and get a win in Florida and so on and so forth. So we'll see how this LSU team responds. I think Vegas knows something, right? They still got them at about a 6.5 point favorite at Mizzou this weekend. So that tells you everybody's expecting LSU to bounce back in a big way. So we'll see how they respond. But, yeah, it's mind-numbing. Jaden Daniels came back for this, to lose to Ole Miss and lose to Florida State and be at 3-2 this quickly in the season. It's crazy.
Well, and for Missouri, who LSU will get this weekend, 5-0. We got to see them a couple weeks ago when Memphis went up to St. Louis to play them, and that offense is really really good. But now it comes the tough part. 23 ranked LSU, 20th ranked Kentucky, Georgia later in the season, Tennessee at Arkansas to end the season. I mean, can Missouri do any damage through this kind of second half of their schedule?
They can, but I think this is where the reality starts to set in. It's not to take away from their start. I mean, look, the win over Kansas State was awesome. They played their butts off that day. The win over Memphis was really good. Luther Burden, I know, wanted to show out for the St. Louis crowd. But I think this is where you kind of get to the what the SEC is. It's a grind, week in and week out. And as good of a job as Eli Drinkwitz has done, I think this is where the losses start to mount up for Mizzou. Give a hat tip to Brady Cook. He's played his butt off. He's a guy that week one, they wouldn't even name him the starter. I mean, Eli Drinkwitz is like, I don't know. We may play Sam Horn. We'll see. And Brady Cook has really risen to the occasion. And Luther Burden, Theo Weiss, those kids stepped up. Cody Schrader is number 2 in the SEC in rushing yards. So they got weapons. I'm disappointed for Como that this game is an 11 a.m. kick. I wish it was a night game because, that place could really be rocking for LSU. But, an early game, LSU has been – their record in 11 a.m. games has been incredible over the last decade. So they're going to get LSU's best shot. We'll see what Mizzou can do. But, look, I will be singing their praises on Monday morning if they find a way to win. LSU did lose at the goal line back in 2020 in that COVID year. That was the only time they've been to Mizzou since they've been in the conference. So, look, they got a chance, but I just feel like reality's about to catch up to Mizzou.
What will the cover charge be Friday night at Harpo's in Columbia?
Yeah, I mean, look, this is the thing. When LSU goes to different towns, I remember they went to West Virginia years ago in 2011, and they said the stadium ran out of beer by the third quarter. So, just Como better be prepared.
What took you so long?
Yeah, exactly.
Chris,
third quarter. I mean, usually LSU, you do that before the national anthem gets played.
Before anybody enters the stadium.
Chris Gordy, our guest.
For the SEC championship in 2019, we were drinking at the bar with Joe Burrow's family, and they were just piled up empty glasses around the entire bar. And I looked at my watch; it was 4:30 in the afternoon. I mean, they had already drank them dry.
Man, that is LSU. Chris Gordy, our guest. He does Locked On, the SEC podcast, also part of the Houston Astros network at 790 there in Houston. So Dusty Baker, he did it again. With a week to go, we were wondering if he gets in, and maybe if he steps away, and he's sitting back now, just waiting for that next opponent. Dusty Baker, just one of baseball's true gems of all time.
Yeah, and it's fascinating what this Astros team has been able to do. I mean, look, everybody, I know, still makes a big deal out of the 2017 season, and whether it has an asterisk or not, and the cheating scandal and all that, but. Ever since then, I think they've showed just how talented this organization really is, getting back to multiple World Series, winning it all again last year. And now here they are in what was considered a down year where they underachieved, still on the last day of the season, win the American League West and steal it from the Texas Rangers. So it's been a crazy season, but I know this. I mean, looking around the teams that are in the postseason, nobody has more experience in the postseason than the Houston Astros. So this is going to be really fascinating to see. The Baltimore Orioles, new kids on the block. How do they respond? The Rangers, the Astros are going to see either the Blue Jays or the Twins, looking like the Twins right now this weekend. Experience matters in the postseason, and when that heart rate starts pumping and you're on the mound, the Astros have been there, done that with all the skins on the wall. So yeah, it's crazy that they're back here again, and again, Dusty Baker with a chance to. Add another ring. For the longest, it was, Dusty can't get over that proverbial hump, can't win that big ring, and he finally did it a year ago. I said, man, this is so much fun. I want to do it again. They brought him back for another go at it. So it's going to be fascinating to see. But, yeah, I mean, there's a reason why the Vegas odds, when you look at it, it's the Braves, it's the Dodgers, and it's the Astros because experience matters so much.
Yeah, for good reason. Well, you talk about the AL West, and we were keeping a close eye on that division for the last couple of weeks of the season as that was coming down to the wire. I mean, how crazy was it for you watching the Astros as they just kind of went back and forth, up and down in the top of the AL West those last couple of weeks?
Well, they had taken the lead in the West with like 3 weeks to go, or 2.5 weeks to go, and we're going, man, look at this schedule. We get a bunch of series against the Royals, the A's, the two worst teams in baseball, and lo and behold, they go and lose series to them. And we're like, what in the world is happening here? And so they saved their best for last. They went and took 2 out of 3 against the Mariners up in Seattle, and then they went and swept the Diamondbacks, who are obviously a playoff team. And so it was stressful, but man, how enjoyable it was to steal it away from the Rangers. Because let's face it, Dallas and Houston do not get along. It's a little bit like Nashville and Memphis sometimes. A lot of people don't like each other in both cities. There's a little bit of a rivalry there, and there was a lot of people, new money in Arlington, talking trash about their team. So it's nice for them to come crashing back down to earth and have the Astros put them back in their rightful place as not winning the AL West. So that was fun to see.
Is that would that be the preferable team for in the next round? I know in the DS they won't get them, but in the ALCS, Houston and Texas, is that who Houstonians want?
Yeah, I mean it's funny. Like Astros fans would love to see that, but I just say be careful what you wish for. Like I'd rather take my chance with the young, inexperienced Baltimore Orioles. That means the Astros would have to go on the road for the ALCS to face Baltimore, but. Look, Astros have been a better road team all year. They've actually they finished under 500 winning percentage at home this year. So they're a better road team. So let's just hope they can get by, looking like the Twins in the series this weekend. And then hopefully we're heading to Baltimore the next round.
I think I would rather face Brandon Hyde than Bruce Bochy.
Yeah. And that's been the crazy part, man, is like, for the longest, there was this trend of hiring these players right off the playing field, and a lot of them were catchers, right? We saw it all across the league. I mean, AJ Hinch had not been far removed from playing. Kevin Cash,
Mike Matheny.
Mike Matheny, all these guys who hadn't been far removed, and now we're seeing this trend back to Dusty Baker, Bruce Bochy. I mean, is Tony La Russa's phone going to ring again? Bring him back? I mean, it's crazy what the old heads are doing right now.
Yeah, it really is. Well, we're looking at this Astros team. I mean, you look at that starting pitching rotation, you see the names that Framber Valdez, Christian Javier, even Justin Verlander in there, but a couple young guys that really, I thought, did a really good job on the mound, specifically J.P. France and what he did this year. But I also thought Hunter Brown did a nice job throughout the season, even though that ERA finished over 5. But those two young guys, what did you make of their seasons this year?
Yeah, Hunter Brown was a little disappointing. It's crazy because I was at spring training and, day one we find out Lance McCullers, they said, we expected he was going to be ready, and we find out he's not going to be ready. And not only that, he's not going to pitch this season. And then we're about a month into the season, they lose Luis Garcia. He has to have Tommy John, so he's all out for the rest of the year. So there were big question marks. They thought Hunter Brown was going to be the sixth man in the rotation. He ends up being number 4.
Good Lord.
And they had to lean on him big time. And it was up and down. It was disappointing. You thought you had something in him. He showed shades of a young Verlander on the backstretch of last season.
Sure.
But, as a full-time starter, it didn't go as great. But J.P. France might be the story of the season for the Astros. This is a kid who's a New Orleans kid, played at Archbishop Shaw on the West Bank of New Orleans. Played his college ball at Tulane and then finished at Mississippi State. And, he was at spring training back in February, and I remember standing next to his locker. He wasn't even a guy we even wanted to talk to. Like, he was injured and, wasn't even on the radar. And out of nowhere, they call him up, and he just rose to the occasion and pitched phenomenally as a rookie. Really only had, 1 or 2 bad starts. Every one of them else was quality outing. So he was outstanding. He wears the thick frame glasses and has the mustache, so he's got, a real signature look. And they're going to lean on him. I think he's going to be their Game 4 starter when they get into the postseason here.
Wow.
So it's going to be fascinating to see how he responds. But, the front of the rotation is going to be either, Verlander and Framber Valdez are your 1A, 1B, and then probably Christian Javier. He pitched much better as of late, so he'll probably be their number 3. But, look, my buddy was like, the ERA is higher this year. It's not as good. I said, yeah, but how much of that has to do with the pitch clock, bigger bases, just all the different things, that eliminating the shift. We've seen a lot of things that have worked more in the hitter's favor this year than the pitchers. So I'm not too concerned that they have the higher ERAs this year. But let's be real. If you're going to win the postseason, you got to hit. You got timely hitting is huge. Big pitches, obviously, you got to pitch well, but you're not going to win 1-0 games in the postseason. The bats have to show up.
You got to put the ball in play. You can't go up there and swing and miss. You got to put it in play. I watched the Cardinals win a World Series without ever hitting the ball out of the infield in 2006 against the Tigers. You just got to put it in play, and then Little League may break out. Visiting with Chris Gordy. Chris, let's go back to the SEC. Once fans get mad, you cannot tell them, hey, y'all settle down. Which of these two groups of fans, which ones are the most right in their angst, anger right now? Gator fans or Razorback fans?
I think it's Arkansas fans. I mean, I still have confidence in Billy Napier. I like him as a coach. He's still building it. He's got an incredible recruiting class locked in for next year. So I think even if he stumbles this year and they finish 6-6 or something, I think you still have to stick with him because the future looks bright. Their quarterback commit, DJ Lagway, he's from the Houston area here. I think he had 6 touchdown passes at halftime last week. So the future looks bright for Florida just with that recruiting class they're bringing in. Arkansas, man, look, Sam Pittman has been one of the nicest guys in the world, but nice doesn't win football games. And I think at the end of the day, we're finding he's a little bit more of that CEO coach that Coach Ed Ogeron was. Look, when he's got 2 great assistants, he's riding on cloud 9. But when you don't have the right OC, you don't have the right DC, you're gonna look like a bad head coach. And right now, Sam Pittman is looking that way. And I don't know, for as many complaints as they got about Kendall Briles last year, Dan Enos is looking like an even worse hire. So it's frustrating, man. You bring back a KJ Jefferson and a Rocket Sanders, you expect that experience to help you win some close ball games. And it was a close loss to BYU. It was a close loss to LSU, but they weren't even in that A&M game this past week. I mean, they didn't even score their first touchdown until 4 minutes left in the game. So it's frustrating, and they're going to have to go to Oxford and play their best game of the year. And if they don't, it's going to be 4 in a row. And guess what's up next? The road trip to Bama. So that's going to be 5 straight losses. And I think we're talking about possibly a parting of ways with Sam Pittman at the end of this year.
Wow. That would be something, but it's going to be a fun week of football in the SEC. I'm also really excited to see the Astros start their postseason run. But Chris, thanks so much for joining us, and let's do this again soon.
Yeah, definitely, guys. And just if I could throw in, we got to interview Dylan Brooks on Monday, a new Houston Rocket. We love him. Thank you for Dylan Brooks. We're hoping he gets us.
You're welcome.
To the playoffs.
He will be entertaining. I can tell you that, Chris.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Good
Chris.
stuff. Good stuff. Chris Gordy down in Houston, really. We didn't even get around to the Texans and the 2-2 for D'Amico Ryans and C.J. Stroud. We'll do that next time. We'll catch up with Chris again really soon. We were handing out grades earlier. Here's an A++++ for Jason's Deli. For any of these locations, A's across the board, whether you're at Ridgeway Road across from MUS, Poplar and Highland, Olive Branch, or in Cordova. There's one very close to you. You've got a great opportunity to go to Jason's Deli right now for dinner time or for every meal, breakfast, lunch, dinner, whether it's to dine in, to go, or delivery. Wholesome food forever. It's a family thing at Jason's Deli. And if you're having an event, let them cater it. Catering up 5 to 5,000, they've got it down. Same day and last minute orders are welcomed. When you feel like I'm about to blow this, they've got it covered. That's when they excel. Let them step in, let them handle the menu for you, and that menu is so good. Whether it's breakfast options, lunchtime hot meals, or dinner time, they've got it all. The pasta feast, the plain Jane potato bar, the most poorly named thing on any menu in town. It's anything but plain. It's a giant baked potato wrapped hot and ready to serve, with all the toppings, cheese, sour cream, bacon, butter, and chopped green onions. That right there is a terrific lunchtime get-together meal for anyone. We're getting close to being in the time of the year, in the season of a lot of holiday office get-togethers. Keep Jason's Deli in mind. Plenty of organic food to choose from, and in all the locations, that salad bar, over 30 items just on the salad bar for you to prepare your salad however you would like. Again, catering anytime, anywhere, and in all these locations, Cordova, Olive Branch, Poplar and Highland over by the University of Memphis, and at Ridgeway Road over at Park Place, the complimentary free ice cream. Check them out online as well at jasonsdeli.com.
Man, Chris, a busy guy down there in Houston. I mean, SEC, the postseason for the Astros, Houston Texans.
Kind of like our melting pot.
Holy cow. I mean, a lot going on. You're absolutely right. But, a lot going on right now in Houston. And the Astros, we'll see what they can do. But I like your idea of them meeting the Rangers at some point this postseason. That'd be awesome.
It would be, and the Rangers, they advanced. Poor Tampa Bay boy leaving the field. They looked stunned, and they should be. And now Bruce Bochy, he moves on, and Kevin Cash will have to answer those questions, and they will be numerous with this year, with this exit, and into spring training next year. When are you going to cash in these good years?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's going to be a lot of tough questions for everybody in that organization following the season. I mean, you have a great start, and then you end it like this. We obviously, I don't want to talk about it at all, but we know the situation with Wander Franco now, and I mean, it's just the great start of the season for Tampa Bay as an organization. It's hard to think of it finishing any worse than how it has.
Yeah, and it ended just the bats go silent, and the other team's pitching, the starting pitching, Montgomery and Evaldi, they were mowing them down.
And Brett, I told you this, we were talking off air about this, but before this game started, I heard, I think Tim Kirchin I heard say, and maybe Jeff Passan I certainly heard say before the game. Both of them.
I saw that same.
We're saying Eovaldi, I mean, he just has not done anything this past month and a half. I mean, that stuff's not there. I think the Rays are just going to kill him today. And then Eovaldi comes out and throws an absolute gem for Texas.
You know why?
It's, tell me.
That's baseball.
That is baseball. I thought you were going to start talking curse and all of this stuff that I believe in and that I know you don't buy into, but I would say they jinxed them, Brett.
They sure did. I saw that same panel pregame show. What, about 1:30 or so?
Is that what about 1:30? That's right. Yeah,
and I love Tim Kirchin.
He's really good. And Jeff Passan's really good too. I mean, as little coverage as ESPN gives baseball throughout the season, they've got a pretty good team.
They do, and at one time, I know they still have it before the Sunday night game, but Baseball Tonight was appointment TV in the day. With,
my
with
favorite show. Oh, and then they would run it at night. Oh man, it was literally. I would make sure I could find a time to watch it every single night. My mom would be like, "You gotta go to bed." I'd be like, "I've got to watch Baseball Tonight." But I mean, it's a shame. I know we're getting these wild card games on ESPN, but lack of coverage from what it used to be on ESPN. Yeah, then it's going to Fox, and said it a couple days ago that they're not going to get Fox. A lot of the viewers here in Memphis don't get Fox, which is a shame.
We're off to a hot start on our picks. 2 big X's by Tampa Bay for both of us.
Yeah.
Way to go.
Good for us.
And we both have Toronto.
And that's not looking good right now. Minnesota up 2-0 in the top of the 6th. But before we wrap up this segment, let me tell you about our 5 o'clock sponsor. They're with us every single day, and you need to go over there to Hewlett and Dunn Boot and Jean on the historic square in Collierville since 1961. Charles Hall started working there in his teens, and now with his wife Laura, they own the place, known for all the boots, but also clothing, accessories, and caps for any team in any season. Western wear, work boots, safety toe, or soft toe, or rubber boots. Boots for absolutely every single occasion. They've got them at Hewlett and Dunn. From head to toe, they've got you covered with every brand imaginable. Ariat, Dan Post, Anderson Bean, whether for men or women, they have you covered. And it's not just the boots. I know they have the boots for every single occasion, but men's and women's clothing, jeans, shirts, pants, shorts, outerwear, and the best duck head collection you'll find. Charles and Laura Hall invite you to 111 North Center Street on the square in Collierville or to HewlettDunn.com. They also have the accessories, hats, sunglasses, boot care products in every area, team snapback, or cool hats you can think of for the Tigers, Mississippi State, UT, Ole Miss, or the Razorbacks. They've got you covered. And for travel, their bag selection is top-notch. HewlettDunn.com, but please, go ahead, give them a visit, say hello at 111 Center Street on the square in Collierville at Hewlett and Dunn. Let's go ahead and get to a break. When we come back, we'll talk about what's trending.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows, stay up to date with station events, and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
Want to play a private country club but only pay daily greens fees? Meadowbrook Country Club in West Memphis is your place. You can now play a beautiful, challenging course for only $59 plus tax, including cards. Meadowbrook Country Club features champion Bermuda greens and now is available to everyone. A membership is only $350 per month and includes tennis, pickleball, and swimming, plus a great restaurant and bar. Golf Pro Mark can even fix you up with custom-made tricks on clubs. Call 870-394-4186 today for your Tuesday through Sunday tee time at Meadowbrook Country Club in West Memphis.
Welcome to Triumph Auto Sales, where you'll have a great car buying experience. Triumph Auto Sales is your #1 source of quality pre-owned vehicles ranging from lease returns to new car trades, all at huge savings. Plus, Triumph has a full array of financing options to meet your needs. Find your next car online at TriumphAutoSales.com or stop in today at 4875 Elmore Road. Triumph Auto Sales will help you get the vehicle you want at the price you need and the service you deserve. For a great car and a great experience from a local and family-owned business, visit Triumph Auto Sales.
It didn't take them long. Genesis Diamonds is now the undisputed value leader here in Memphis. Hey, it's Eric Hasseltine, and people who have gone into Genesis Diamonds with a budget have often left spending less than they thought they would, and they end up with a better diamond, a bigger diamond, and a nicer ring. I'm telling you, Genesis has disrupted the old school jewelry store scene right here in Memphis. It starts with value. Genesis is a direct diamond importer where they get their diamonds from the world's best diamond cutters with no middleman. I call it extreme value. Genesis is also the authorized retailer for all the top bridal designers, so they have the rings on every woman's wish list. They back up every purchase with a 100% free lifetime warranty. That means no charge ever for things like sizing or cleaning. All this in a fun, relaxed environment with no commission salespeople, no pressure of any kind, and no retail pricing games. We've needed a place like this for years here in Memphis, and now Genesis is here. It's quite a change from other jewelry stores with traditional prices, limited selection, and insane markups. Genesis Diamonds at Poplar and Perkins Extended in Poplar Commons.
Chris Price here with Metro Builders. Is your roof leaking? Do you have mold stains on the ceiling of your home or business? Is your carrier denying your claim or offering a repair because they just don't have enough documentation? You need a contractor that performs work for insurance carriers each and every day, and Metro Builders is here to assist. This is why you call Metro Builders. At Metro Builders, we provide free estimates and consultation and love to assist homeowners with their claims. Metro Builders' process of arriving, inspecting, and diagnosing problems is second to none. Our team of Hague-certified technicians are standing by to assist you with providing estimates and photos to your carrier to document your loss. And the best part of all you owe is what your policy states. No large fees on top of the final scope. We use high-grade materials and are certified by companies like Atlas, Certainteed, Owens Corning, and even Mulehide. We offer best-in-class warranties on all of our jobs, up to 50 years. When it comes to roofs and restoration, call Metro Builders to schedule your free inspection. Call me. 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717.
Begin your exciting career in broadcasting today. Jobs in advertising, sales, promotion, news, business administration, engineering, and more are available throughout the state. Find out about career opportunities by visiting the Tennessee Broadcasters Virtual Job Fair at broadcastersvirtualjobfair.com. Get information about opportunities available in the broadcast industry as well as specific positions here at Flynn Broadcasting Corporation. Apply online now to begin the process of establishing a career in Tennessee's exciting broadcast industry. Minorities and women are strongly encouraged to visit. Brought to you by Flynn Broadcasting Corporation at www.broadcastersvirtualjobfair.com.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting to slow down just a bit now on 240 East as you come past Perkins, working your way to 385 Billmore Parkway going outbound. That looks pretty positive right now out towards Collierville. Here's where it's starting to slow down. That's 55 northbound up towards Crump as you go through that construction zone. And 51 on the increase up towards Millington. Hey, don't miss it this year. Smoky Mountain Fall Festival is underway now at Oberg-Gatlinburg. Check out all the fun details by logging on to obergatlinburg.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Hewlett & Dunn, Boot and Jean Company in Collierville. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you as we've got less than 30 minutes left in today's show. We're sitting in our Family Leisure studios like we do every single afternoon. And Brett, just a quick update on these baseball games going on right now. The Rangers advance to the next round after beating the Rays 7-1. An absolute beatdown today from the Rangers. Only one run scored through two games for this dominant Rays offense. We've got another game going on right now. Twins and Blue Jays going on right now. The Twins are up, and it looks like Blue Jays having some trouble trying to get base runners, and so this one.
Don't wake up those Blue Jays.
Don't wake them up because
real quiet.
Once they wake up, they are pretty hot. But it's looking like the Twins, if they can hold on to this, they'll also advance to the next round. But this game's been a lot more entertaining than that first one because that was I did not expect that to happen.
First Twins postseason win yesterday since 2004, and they were excited. Towel waving, and the weather there yesterday and today. I mean, you see people in shorts and shirt sleeves and get ready for the next 10 months of winter there.
Yeah, get ready. It's coming. So this game is definitely interesting. See if the Blue Jays can do something here late. We'll have two more games later today. D-backs Brewers going to start at the top of the hour, and then about an hour after that, Marlins Phillies get underway. So a lot more baseball for the rest of the day. But, Brett, I did want to talk about this. I saw this today over on USA Today. They've got their college football head coach salaries posted up there for this season. And we like looking at these every once in a while. Obviously, Nick Saban leads the way, but a couple interesting ones that I saw. The biggest one.
What do they have Coach Saban listed as, 12?
Oh, let's see. Let me pull it up. Just under 12. Just just under 12. So right
worth
under
every nickel,
every single penny, every single.
In
penny.
fact, they're stealing from him. He should get a lot more.
Yeah, about 11.5 for Nick Saban, and that one's a steal. Another steal, I think, Kyle Whittingham for Utah. Been there 19 years and getting paid $6.36 million. And for what he's done now, going for his third straight Pac-12 championship and only 2 losing seasons in 19 years as the head coach, that's a steal for what he's brought to Utah football.
That's a great take by you. He is, and something else he doesn't do to them. You never see his name out there thrown around and holding them hostage of more. He got out there. I think that was his first head coaching stop.
Yeah, I think so.
As successor to then Urban Meyer. I think that's right. I think he was here with Urban in the Liberty Bowl that year with Dan Mullen as offense coordinator. But anyway, he really has. It's been some bang for their buck. And remember, for everybody that we say a steal at $6 million, this is more money than any of us can imagine.
Absolutely,
it's more unimaginable than tonight's Powerball. It feels like.
Yeah,
but this is the market. They earn this. How much should they make? Because for Nick Saban, I don't know exactly what the athletics department budget at Alabama, what it is. I don't know exactly what the football slice of the pie is. But he's bringing in a lot of money. What should he be paid?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question.
Means you go over and go, hey, Coach Saban, good job. Here's $150,000. No,
no, he's not taking that.
That's not how it works.
No, and so what he's done, I mean, absolutely should be the highest paid head coach. But you're absolutely right about Kyle Whittingham. Has been with Utah since 1994 on the defensive side of the ball, of course. But took over in 2005 as the head coach, first head coaching job, and first stop been at Utah since 1994. Like I said before that, with Idaho State. How about that? Defensive coordinator for Idaho State.
And he replaced Urban when Urban took Florida, right?
Yeah. So right after Urban, that's 2 pretty good coaches to have as your head coach.
Find us a couple that it's hard to explain how they're making this much money.
Oh, well, I mean, the big one that everyone's going to point out is Mel Tucker, obviously now fired with cause, but that $10 million is sort of hard to believe. Looking down, I mean, another one that worth every penny, I think, Mark Stoops, sitting at 8th in terms of all head coaching, 8 at $9 million.
Not just because of my utter contempt and disdain for John Calipari. I will argue, pound for pound, Mark Stoops has done more for his money than John Calipari has for his money. I know John Calipari's won 1. They didn't hire him to win 1.
Yeah, no, not at all. I'm kind of surprised with obviously a ton of SEC, a lot of Big Ten towards the top of the list, which I guess I shouldn't be super surprised with. But, I mean, you look at Luke Fickell sitting at 13th, and he's the 5th highest paid Big Ten coach. So, I mean, that's a little surprising. I think outside of that, it's mainly SEC at the top of the list for good reason. Dabo Swinney, 2nd at Clemson. But, I mean, I'm looking through this list. There's not a ton that I really have issue with on at least the top 25, top 30 of this list.
Today on Twitter, following our friend Kevin Sweeney that we'll start visiting with
very
around
soon.
This time coming soon. When college basketball starts, we'll have Kevin with us every Wednesday at 5 o'clock through the national championship game. And I saw a Twitter not rant of his today. I thought it was right in line. And he's a Northwestern guy through and through. Is just how in the world do they let Derek Gregg hire the next football coach at Northwestern? And he's going to.
He is, and that seems inexcusable. But I don't know. I mean, I think he's absolutely right that it should not be him. I mean, we saw what happened. This whole situation that has now happened with Northwestern is partially his doing, and so that is crazy. But I guess those decisions have already been made, and he'll be the one that makes that next head coach hire.
And he better get it right. Don't want to bring people down, but this is a big story. He played at Arkansas, transferred, quarterback to LSU, Greg Brooks, the LSU defensive back. Today, the news about his brain cancer. We knew about that, and he was diagnosed with a rare form of brain cancer, and I'm going to butcher the pronunciation, but it's medulloblastoma, and it sounds like there's a good path for him. I did a quick Google hit on it, and it's 72% survival rate when found kind of at the point that he is found it in. It's really kind of a childhood brain cancer, and the foremost work in the world that is done on it is at St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, and I know with any brain cancer, Brian, you know, my best friend last summer that passed away, that was diagnosed with glioblastoma and passed in 77 days, and it doesn't sound like it is as fatal as glio, and during the, you know, what's wrong, what's happening, a cardiologist doctor friend of mine, I asked him, I said, well, what do you think? He said, well, you know, it's not my forte. He said, but if it's glio, it's really bad. Well, and it was. And in so much of this, so many of these brain cancers, the work that's done at St. Jude that is made these life expectancies and survival and recovery rates go up. So, you know, this week been a tough week for LSU, but this is real. And to the character, to speak of the character of the man that Sam Pittman that he is, this is a player that left him, was starting for him, left him to go to LSU, play against him, and this week he checked on him and checked in with his parents.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a class act. But, you know, I'm glad to hear, what'd you say, 72% of that for this specific form of cancer. But anytime I hear rare, especially with brain cancer, it really scares me. And brain, exactly. It really scares me. But I mean, you're absolutely right. I don't think St. Jude gets nearly enough credit for all the work they do. And I'm glad. I love seeing, you know, when I see people not from here, so like national people who do fundraising and stuff for St. Jude. It makes me really happy because sometimes I feel like we obviously here in Memphis know everything that St. Jude does, but I think that gets lost a little bit on the national scene. So, I mean, they do an unbelievable job. And for Greg Brooks, you mentioned we kind of heard first about this a couple weeks ago when it was reported. You know, I hope the quickest recovery for him. It sounds like the reporting I've seen today, a long road ahead, but hopefully with some of those numbers you said, it can be a somewhat quick process, because I just hated seeing this news a couple weeks ago when it first broke.
We'll get to more of it in Taco Bell Crunch Time. But what's your pie chart tonight? What's the percentage of TV viewing for you tonight? Are you going? Will it be college football? Will it be the back channel to baseball? What?
I'll probably have baseball on the main TV, and then I'll probably have the football games going on my computer or something. But
is Connor running the remote control? I mean, you gonna blame it all on him again?
No, actually, Connor is going to Student Madness. He's having to do reporting for a class for Student Madness tonight for the Tigers. So he won't be at home. So I will have full reins over the remote tonight, which is always great. But I think postseason baseball gets center stage tonight. But let's go ahead and get to our break. And when we come back, Brett just mentioned we're going to get to Taco Bell Crunch Time. So let's get to a quick break, and we'll get to Taco Bell Crunch Time on the other side.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned in to Real Sports Talk. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
We interrupt this broadcast for special news and information concerning family leisure.
The world's biggest spa sale is back, and bigger than ever at Family Leisure. How is that possible? Well, let me tell you. You start off with 50 different spa models to choose from 5 different manufacturers. Then you throw in up to 30% off in-stock spas and swim spas. But is that all? Oh, no. you get free upgrades on all in-stock spas, plus 24 months same as cash. Wow! This is the kind of sale that you just can't have every day, but it's happening right now at Family Leisure, the world's biggest spa sale. Soak in the savings right now at Family Leisure, Witten Road and I-40. You know the place where family and fun come together.
Please remain calm and walk. Don't run to Family Leisure. And now back to your regular programming.
Of course, 117 Prime, Memphis' premier downtown dining destination, has hands down the best steaks in Memphis, and the selection of other entrees rivals any restaurant in town. But let's just take a second to talk about appetizers, the beginning of every great meal. 117 Prime offers perfectly sliced Mishima Wagyu beef carpaccio, lobster salad with cold water lobster knuckle, mussels in red curry. Mouth-watering yet? All these wonders are there to start your meal at 117 Prime. Imagine where it will go from there.
At Staples, you can count on every project being print perfect, guaranteed.
I need invitations and posters printed, and they have to be perfect.
I need beautifully bound booklets and presentations for my business.
Your invitations and booklets will be in captivating color and will be done right every time. That's Staples Print Big Promise. And right now at Staples, get $50 off your print purchase of $150 or more. Try Staples and see the difference. Ends 10/14. Exclusions apply. See associate or visit staples.com/print for details.
Snap into action this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets, guaranteed, when you place a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. Hey, in New York, right now I'm looking at all of the unders for Jets offensive numbers. Passing yards, touchdowns, receiving yards. I'm looking at all of the unders in New York. So visit FanDuel.com/win and kick off the NFL season. That's FanDuel.com/win, FanDuel.com/win. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
21 plus and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager, only $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call TN Redline 1-800-889-9789.
What's for dinner? Burgers?
After last week, no thanks.
Avoiding foods due to fear of diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools? It may not be just stomach issues. It could be EPI, or exocrine pancreatic insufficiency. EPI can cause uncomfortable symptoms because it's a condition where the pancreas doesn't release enough digestive enzymes to break down food. But EPI can be managed. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor about your symptoms. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Hewlett & Dunn, Boot and Jean Company in Collierville. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
This is Geraldo. It is crunch time. You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye, hello, Haskins. It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
The double steak grilled cheese burrito, so good. Double the steak with nacho cheese sauce, seasoned rice, red strips, sour cream, and the 3-cheese blend wrapped inside a warm flour tortilla, with even more 3-cheese blend grilled on the top. The double steak grilled cheese burrito, it hits the spot now at Taco Bell. And at Taco Bell, when they say they are feeding people's lives with unexpected good, they mean it. Bowl food you can't get anywhere else.
Well, Brett, I learned a couple of things today. The first being that we didn't talk much about it. We didn't have really enough time to talk about it. But the NCAA making some changes to how the offseason works. They've shortened the transfer portal window from 60 days down to 45 days, hopefully kind of giving more structure to when players can decide to leave and put their name into the transfer portal. But the other thing that I learned today is that tonight, Student Madness for the University of Memphis will get kind of our first look at this Memphis basketball team, which is hard to believe that we're already getting our first look at the team. The link for fans to watch was posted by the Memphis basketball Twitter page, so you can go over there. It's on the website, also on their YouTube channel, I believe, is where they're going to be streaming it today. And then I also learned Curtis Givens III, one of the top priorities for Memphis basketball. He was on a visit last week. He is set to make his commitment this Saturday after visiting Memphis last week. I've seen 3 people put in their crystal balls on 247. All of them are Memphis, so it's looking really good right now for Memphis to get the hometown kid in Curtis Givens.
Yeah, imagine that, Coach Penny Hardaway tearing it up in recruiting. You just knew he wouldn't, and they're going to get the younger Richmond. What I learned, we've got to give some blame, not all, but some of the blame for the Bears goes to Justin Fields. 7 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. That's better than I thought it would be when I looked that up today. But he's got to get some. The offensive line's bad. The organization's bad. They're talking about maybe pulling the plug on Eberflus this year and just the big once again start over for the Bears. I think there's something there in Justin Fields. It just may not be in Chicago.
Yeah, I think you're right. What I could have done without, we talked about the Houston Astros earlier with Chris Gordy, but what's happening now with the Seattle Mariners after they failed to reach the postseason? I'm not just bringing this up because I enjoy watching the Seattle Mariners. I think this is.
And you love Brock Huard.
I love Brock Huard, but that's not why I'm bringing this up. I do think this is an interesting story in all of baseball because after the Mariners did not make the postseason, we talked about it earlier this week. Cal Raleigh comes out and kind of talks about the direction of this organization and how the front office needs to go out and spend and build a championship team around the pieces they have. Well, today, A.J. Przinsky, who I believe this was on a podcast, he came out and said that he's been told that Cal Raleigh was forced to apologize for those comments he made about the front office, that the front office called him in after that interview that day and said, you're going to have to apologize for what you said. You're going to have to go out and publicly say and take back what you said. And so Cal Raleigh kind of stepped back on those comments the following day. But also, Jerry DiPoto, the front office executive for the Mariners, an absolute clown. He said that their plan every single year is to just win 54% of their games and told Seattle Mariners fans that he is doing them a favor by winning 54% of the games, and that in the long run, that will get them into the World Series conversation. That is absolutely ridiculous. He's one of these analytic nerds. He's an absolute joke. I cannot stand him.
Boy, that's right. And now who's going to make Cal Raleigh apologize for his nickname?
Big Dumper.
Worst nickname in the history.
One of the
best.
Sports. Mount Rushmore of baseball nicknames.
The whole connotation of it is just really bad. I could have done without. Why build that stadium in St. Pete if they won't go to games? We're in St. Pete now. Will they go to the new stadium? I was told by someone in the ballpark yesterday, and it was not T.J. Reeves. It was somebody that works with the Rays. There wasn't 10,000 people there.
It didn't look like it on television.
704 was a big fudge factor. Wow. Sleepy didn't describe how bad the atmosphere was in for the Rays. I think it affected them.
Yeah. Well, I was about to say Sleepy doesn't even describe what the Rays did in these last 2 games.
It was coma. It wasn't sleepy. It was flat coma.
Yeah, you're right about that. Where are you beaming tonight?
Beam me to baseball, even with the college football tonight. Get me to Milwaukee, see if the Brewers can push it to a Game 3. The Brewers haven't done much under Craig Counsell, and a 2-0 sweep to Arizona could end it for him in Brewtown. Gallon versus Peralta tonight. Gallon 17-9 this year. Peralta 12-10.
Beam me to the later game, Marlins versus Phillies. I said it earlier. I'll say it again. Philly equals electricity. That atmosphere was awesome last night. I'm expecting another great atmosphere tonight, and it should be a great game too.
The Marlins' dream season could be coming to an end. Also tonight in college football, we mentioned Rich Rod against Rick Stockstore in college football. Jacksonville State at Middle. FIU at New Mexico State on CBS Sports Network, and we'll see if I get that.
We'll see. We'll have an answer tomorrow on if you get CBS Sports Network or not, but that's all the time we have today. Enjoy the baseball tonight. College football is back. This long stretch of days with football, whether it be NFL or college football, starts today. It ends middle of November. Yeah, let's enjoy it. Enjoy your night. We'll talk to you again tomorrow afternoon at 3 o'clock.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.